I guess it's time to go.
I'll let you guys know.
Breaking news.
Yeah,
Is it
so we should
going?
probably run the intro. I guess it's time to go.
I'll let you guys know.
Breaking news.
breaking
GJ
news, breaking
Radio.
He looks like a Cuban that's been dead for 3 weeks.
Look in Baker's eyes. I think we were on the same level.
He looks like Matilda's daddy that sells cars.
Danny DeVito?
I think he danced in front of us for about an unnecessarily long time.
Based on a rundown.
Featuring Val. Yours truly. We're talking about
Other players, there was Maddox, Glavin, Smoltz, Avery.
Is John, hit us with it.
This is all pointless right now because you have no idea what anyone's going to do in free agency.
Jeff Blauser, Chipper Jones.
I was going to say, we're Chipper.
His English is not tremendous.
Oh, whoa, what the heck?
I remember when Doug Flutie had got benched for that 6'5", just athletic quarterback who was trash.
I'm sorry to say this. I don't think he's been that good.
Oh, whoa, what the heck?
Still, if Kevin Pritchard walked up to me, I wouldn't know.
You know, I don't think anybody is going to shy away from calling the NCAA corrupt and money grabbers.
This is Crime Dog right here. This is D Crime. This is Fred McGriff.
My whole thing
they
is
have a chance to do that with Dak.
I never said
Music on. Is that me?
No, it's a fucking train. I'll mute myself until it passes.
So everything we say right now can be changed in a month and a half.
I'd say an F the Chiefs.
Whoever wants to go back on the business side of things.
I'm enjoying the game.
I
don't know what you guys are talking about. I want
I just told that.
Are officially live.
Oh, boy. My heart is beating fast right now.
Here we go.
We're live. We did it. We got an intro show. So for those of you watching, real quick, this is our official March Madness bracket show. I'm your host, Garrett, and Josh. This is GJ Radio. Josh, what's the date?
Today is March 15th, 2021. It is 8:03, and
right on time.
March Madness is here.
March Madness is here.
No more conference tournaments.
We're done with it. My mic's about to fall over. Real quick, just because I took the time to go ahead and make the video. I wanted to show really quick what happened at the tryouts last weekend or over the weekend. I just wanted to show Dick Zenendorf really quick. I think the world needs to see Dick.
Amateur baseball.
Yeah, it was a tough day for Dick. That was Dick Zenendorf. From what a bunch of guys
get picked up.
Yeah, it did not get picked up. Actually, the thing was we were doing like a little squat, or after the tryout, we did just a goof around where everyone was playing, and he left before that. He was just like, "Well, I'm assuming I'm not getting picked. I'll see you later." He's sort of an amateur baseball legend at this point. He has shown up for the last 4 or 5 seasons to the tryout, does his little bit, and then heads out. So it was my first experience, and I'm glad we got it on film. So that was Dick Zenendorf. And that's the only amateur sports talk we're going to do. That's the only baseball talk. That's really the only non-March Madness talk that we are going to do today, because it is, it's...
It's time.
March Madness. I got to get out of the way. That shadow me in that light.
Yep.
We are here, and we are here to do your bracket for you, essentially. We are going to do we've done all the work for you already. Most of it, like 75, 80%. It's pass-worthy.
A lot of it. A lot more than you would do.
A lot more than you would do. Most of you are going to either pick a team based on,
mascots or colors.
Mascots, colors, tradition, just teams oh, well, I've heard of them.
Bias. Yep.
Gone are those days. No
Not
longer do you have
here.
to not up in here. We're not going to do that. Oh, well, I like their team name. No, like, we're not going to put up with that, Debbie, at the office. Okay. Like, oh, I liked the Blue Devils. I thought it was a fun name. Like, no, we're not, none of that up in here.
Yep.
Okay. This is all just based off the numbers, based off of good information. You will not get better, high quality insight.
Yep.
Than from us. And I'm going to honestly, Josh, I've got the ticker going.
Yeah,
I'm
great.
nervous. Do we open up the phone lines? Do we just open them up and allow people to call in?
Yeah.
And off? Okay.
Someone wants
All
to
right.
call in and discuss something, think we missed something, or we.
Yeah, I was nervous about it because I was like, man, I don't really know if we want to.
It might mess up the rhythm, but I'm always down to hear the people's dumb thoughts. So bring it.
Good point. All right. Yeah, we will put the call-in line number on there, and chances are I'll answer it. All right. Here we are.
Let's get into it.
68 teams are competing to be the number one team in the country. And we're going to start off with, let's just start at the top, Josh. Let's start with the number one seeds.
Yeah, so we are just
While I
going
adjust
to
my
go
mic.
ahead and break down all 68 teams for you.
All of it. We're not going to, because I got kind of, I don't know about you. I got kind of pissed off watching the ESPN coverage of it. Where they literally, it's like, oh, here's on YouTube, here's the in-depth ESPN Jay Billis report, and it's literally like, it's an hour long. Okay. How in the world are you supposed to talk about 68 teams in an hour? That's less than a team a minute. All right.
Yep.
So it pissed me off. I was like, this is not in-depth at all. How is anyone supposed to make a pick based off of this? Right.
Yeah. So we're going to break them all down, and then we'll go into who we're picking for each game, and
we're going to
see where that leads us.
Break down the teams, and then we'll make our picks. All right, because you got to know about who the teams are. Okay. First, number one, Josh.
Well, let's go with the number one seed overall, Gonzaga.
That was my team. So Gonzaga, we broke it down. So I took the East and the West, and Josh took the South and the Midwest, and we broke them down. So here is Gonzaga, the Bulldogs, not the Zags. All right. I don't know why they put Zags on, I guess they put Zaga on their jerseys.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Gonzaga. Yep.
Gonzaga, West Coast Conference. Okay. 26-0. All right. Number one seed, undefeated.
Ran the gauntlet.
All right. Ran the gauntlet. Okay. They beat some pretty decent teams, but we'll get into that in a second. Okay. They're top players. All right. They got 4 solid players. They run probably 8 deep, but they've got 4 guys that they look to. Their number one player, Corey Kispert, a 6'7" forward, 19 points a game, 4.5 or just about 5 rebounds a game. Okay. So 19 and 5.
Gonna be an All-American.
Just a stud player, right? 2 assists a game. Guy does it all. Other player that they've got, a big man, Drew Tim, I don't know. But he went to J.J. Pierce High School, which I found that to be extremely interesting.
Local guy.
Just down the road from here, literally 15 minutes away. Guy averaged 18.7 points per game, 7.1 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game. Oh, yeah, he's 6'10". Okay, so they've got size. Jalen Suggs, their guard, all right? Freshman, stud, all right? 14.3 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, all right? Guy does it all. Another guy that does it all, okay? And then they've got another guard named Joel Ayayi. I don't know. Ayyi, okay? 11.8 points, 3 assists, 7 boards. Guy goes after rebounds, is 6'5" guard. Okay, so they've got length. Overall, they lead the nation in field goal percentage. Okay, they shoot 55% from the floor. That's absurd. Okay, 92 points per game, holding opponents to 69 points a game, 18.3 assists per game. All right, 3rd in the nation. So the team moves the ball. They're just an elite offense. If you want to watch just possibly the best offense in college basketball right now, watch Gonzaga play, and they'll probably roll through the dance, at least early on through the first weekend. They beat this year Kansas, West Virginia, Iowa, BYU 3 times, and Virginia. I think that, we talk about it, Josh, beating a team 3 times in a row is hard to do.
Tough to do.
And they did it. They did it handily every time. They won by double digits against BYU every single time too. So it's not like they ever got close. So that's
they got close in the tournament, but they pulled away.
Right. But that's Gonzaga. So they pretty much average beating teams by over 20 points per game, just absolutely dominating and dominating good teams too. They had a close one against West Virginia early on. Aside from that, though, nobody really gave them a scare the entire season. So that's Gonzaga. That's the number 1 seed in the whole tournament, Gonzaga. So, yeah, Josh, you want to take the another one of the number ones?
So let's go with the Baylor Bears, 22-2, first in the Big 12. Did not win the Big 12 tournament. So let's get into it. They've got Jared Butler, probably future All-American this year, 17 points a game, nearly 5 assists, 2 steals, shot 49% from the field and 43 from 3. Pretty deep team. They've got 3 guys averaging over 14. Not a great rebounding team. If there was a flaw in their game, they don't rebound well, and they shoot 69% from the charity stripe, which doesn't bode too well for tournament teams. And people have their issues with their head coach, Scott Drew. A lot of non-believers in him.
Yeah.
So if you don't like Scott Drew, you probably think this might be the 1 seed that's not going to make it out of their region. But let's get into their season this year. They handedly beat an Illinois team very early on this season. It's hard to take those wins into account being early, but later on in the season, they beat Texas Tech, beat Texas, and then they lost to Kansas late in the season. Now, Baylor was affected a lot by COVID this year. They had a lot of games canceled and postponed, stacked a lot of games late in the season. All of February, I think they played like 2, maybe 3 games. They came back from that long layoff, barely beat an Iowa State team, then lost to a Kansas team, barely beat West Virginia. So they've been up and down. I think they're not super well coached in terms of other 1 seeds and how they're coached. But a good team, a good Baylor team, 22-2 is nothing to shy away from. And didn't win their conference, though. That's an interesting one for a 1 seed. I know we've got a couple.
There's 2. Yeah, I was about to say there's 2 1 seeds that didn't even win their conference this year.
Yeah. So let's segue into your 1 seed, the Michigan.
Yeah, the other one of the 2 teams that didn't, or this one did win there. I got the 2 teams that won their conference. Michigan of the Big Ten, 20-4. All right,
but Michigan didn't win the conference tournament.
Right. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
They won the regular. It's all about the regular season.
Okay.
Big Ten
Baylor won the regular
season. Had Juwan Howard not gotten kicked out that game, then who knows what happens.
Well, I think they won that game, but
either way,
nevertheless,
all right. It was just they were running on emotion at that point.
Yeah.
14-3 in the Big Ten. Okay, took care of business. No real weaknesses in this team. They're huge. First of all, they've got a guard, Franz Wagner. Okay, is listed as a guard here. Did you know that?
It doesn't surprise me, but he's a very tall dude. He's very NBA guard.
He's 6'9", okay, from Germany. Averages 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Okay, so the guy he moves the ball. He's a playmaker. He gets other people involved as well. Hunter Dickinson, though, is the straw that stirs the drink up in Ann Arbor. The 7'1" freshman, 255 pounds. Kid's a big guy. He's a legitimate center. 14 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, a block and a half a game. Ranked the 37th best prospect coming out of high school, out of DeMatha Catholic High School, the powerhouse basketball factory up in Maryland. Fun fact, Notre Dame's Mike Bray went there. And then Isaiah Livers, who we were talking about before, the 6'7" forward out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, averages 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 dimes. He might not be playing. So that's huge if Isaiah Livers isn't playing because, he's sick?
Yeah, no, he hurt his foot. So.
Oh, okay.
So it's a legitimate injury.
Yeah, that's an injury. Well, with that situation, like that's going to be lingering too. So you're not going to get a
Yeah.
100% Isaiah Livers, who,
He
you know,
does a
one of
lot
your
for that
top.
team.
Yeah, he's a top 3 player. He does a little bit of everything. Plays, you know, he's a solid defender. Everyone on Michigan's team is, you know, they're solid defensively. And they shoot the ball at an extremely high clip, 48% from the floor, 38% from deep, or almost 39% from deep. They're the 13th best 3-point shooting team in the country. Rebounds wise, you'd think with their size, they'd be, you know, a top 20 rebounding team. They only average 37.5 rebounds a game. But the thing that sticks out is they average their top 20 defensive rebounds. So they limit teams to 1 shot per possession,
Big.
you know, so that's massive. And then they only, because their field goal percentage is so high, they only, you know, they don't give up a whole lot of defensive rebounds. They do a good job of attacking the glass. And then scoring, they're right at 76 points a game, you know, average margin of victories around 11. So they're a good team. You know, they didn't really, they lost in their conference tournament, like you said, but Michigan is, if Isaiah Livers is hurt, then I'd peg them for,
problems,
you know,
but
I would go ahead and put him in the Sweet 16, but who knows what happens. It all depends on if
weekend.
Yeah, they're going to make it out of the first weekend, I think, but no big losses for them. That, you know, Minnesota ended up being okay. That was one of their losses. Illinois, Michigan State, and Ohio State. So they lost to tournament teams.
All tournament teams.
No bad losses on their schedule. No big wins as far as like they, you know, they beat up everybody in the Big Ten. They won the Big Ten, but no, you know, non-conference play was limited this year. So yeah, Michigan's a solid number 1 this year. There's all the number 1 seeds this year are really good, I think.
Yeah, that'll lead into the Big Ten tournament champions, Illinois, possibly the hottest team entering the tournament. They're 14-1 in their last 15, and I just kind of want to read off the teams that they've beaten in their last 15 games because it's a pretty good who's who. So they beat Iowa, they beat Wisconsin, they beat Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa again, Ohio State again. So just some really good teams. Wisconsin twice. So it wasn't like they were just playing, you know, the bad teams in the Big Ten, and they beat, you know, Rutgers, and their only loss was to Michigan State tournament team. So we'll get to those questions.
We'll get to you know, matchups in a second, because it's all about basketball is all about matchups. You know, it's you could have the best guards in the country, but
so Illinois really is. You know, they've got a big man, Kofi Coburn, who is a load. I don't know if you saw him play against Iowa, but Luka Garza is a big dude, and he doesn't get pushed around very often. Coburn was moving him. If he can stay out of foul trouble and be 60% from the foul line, they could go places. Ayo the Sumnu, I always just call him Ayo. It's easier for me. He's a freak. He is maybe like a less athletic Russell Westbrook. Just does everything on the court for you. Just very dynamic. There's not a lot of teams in college basketball that can say they have a player as dynamic as him. And we all know in the tournament, if you have one dynamic player, you could go a long way. If you have two, and they have two, they could go the distance. I think right now they may be my favorite to take it all the way. But
you're gonna okay. Yeah,
we'll push into that a little bit later.
All right. Well, that's those are the 1 seeds for all the regions. If you need that, we'll move on to the number 2s. We'll start again with me because that's where we started off last time.
Yep.
I'm just gonna keep going in order. The number 2 seed in the West is that, you know, the Western School, Iowa. That's one thing that always confused me with the NCAA tournament seedings and stuff like that, or like the names of the regions.
It's
like,
not very regionalized.
Plus, they're all playing in Indianapolis this year, right? Like, all the games are in Indianapolis. So what's the point of having East, West? You know, just it's funny. Anyway, yeah, number 2 is Iowa. Our third Big Ten school of the night. You know, they
already,
dude. The Big Ten was
3
good.
out of 5.
Big Ten was good. 21-8 this year, 14-6 in the Big Ten, which, as we know, is a powerhouse conference. Luke Garza is the man to watch. He is that entire team. 6'11". They have him listed as a forward. He's a center. Almost 24 points per game, which is a ton in the Big Ten.
Ton in the nation. That's got to be number 2. So
I mean, he's right. But to do it in the Big Ten, ridiculous. 8.8 rebounds per game, almost 2 assists per game. He, does a little bit of everything. He's just a really, really solid basketball player, and he's huge.
Could be the Naismith winner this year. The player
exactly.
Year, so.
He's just a big guy, and he's solid. Joe Weiskamp, a 6'6" guard, averages 14.7 points per game, 6.5 rebounds a game, and an assist and a half. So he does a little bit of everything. He's lengthy. That's what you want. And then Jordan Bohannon, 6'1" guard, 11 points a game, 3 rebounds a game, and 4.5 assists, which is pretty good for a point guard at the collegiate level, especially in the Big Ten. Their team numbers, they were the 46th best shooting team, shooting 46.9% from the floor and holding opponents to 41.4%. So anytime you're shooting better than your opponent, that's usually pretty good. They average 83.8 points per game. That's a lot of scoring. They're the 6th highest scoring team in the country, holding opponents to roughly 72 points per game. So, they're winning by double digits every game. They are the leading team in the country in assists. Number 1 team, 19 assists per game. So, this region, the 1 and 2, Gonzaga and Iowa, is an extremely efficient offensive region, clearly, so far.
Not a lot of defense being played.
You don't need defense
in Iowa.
No, you don't need to play defense when you're scoring 84 points per game. And then they shoot 38.6% from deep. So they are a good 3-point shooting team as well. It's the 14th best in the country. Probably the best in the Big Ten. So they're the one of the best shooting teams in the country. Notable wins. The Big Ten didn't really play a whole lot of non-conference games. They beat North Carolina 93-80. So that's a tournament team. And then they beat Purdue and Ohio State, both by double digits. So those are just a couple noteworthy wins. 2 of them were in conference, but yeah, that's Iowa.
And they have a coach's kid. And I think that goes a long way in the tournament for some reason. They had that the kid from Georgia Southern that got drafted by the Celtics. His dad was coaching him.
Yeah,
Scott Drew at Valparaiso. I mean, I just feel like if you have your son, who is a definite member of the rotation on your team,
we haven't even gotten
that emotional energy, can really just push you a long way. And we'll touch that a little bit later.
There's a lot of dad-son coaching.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Situations this year. So yeah, but that's
if
Iowa.
I was on the fence about a team, and one team had a coach's kid, I'm picking that coach's kid. If it's like a 50-50, I'm picking the team with the coach with the kid on the team. So I don't know why.
Just every time, right?
Just feels right.
It's like you have a coach on the floor at that point.
Exactly. So now we'll get into our 4th out of 6 teams from the Big Ten, Ohio State, your Big Ten tournament champion runner-ups. So we'll get into them. First, I'll talk about what they don't have. They lost Kyle Young in the tournament. He is a kind of a stretch forward for them, does a lot of just the gritty work, is a starter for them. He went out against Purdue in the conference tournament, and he is not expected to be back. So that's a big loss, I feel like, for Ohio State. They got past Michigan, and they did their best against Illinois, but I feel like when you lose a player like that, it's hard to keep winning. But we'll get into what they do have. What they do have is the 4th best adjusted offense in the KenPom rankings. They've got a guard in Dwayne Washington who can take over games if he needs to at 16.3 points per game. They have an all Big Ten, first team all Big Ten forward, EJ Liddell, who is a force down low, can stretch the floor, hit jump shots, and he averaged nearly 16 points per game as well. I will say that being a Big Ten guy myself, I've watched a lot of Ohio State. Although they can score, they also can get into ruts where they don't score. And I think basketball's a game of runs, and if you go 5-6 minutes without a basket, you're in tough shape. And Ohio State's been prone to that this season. I think without Kyle Young, that is going to hurt them. They don't have the easiest of 15 matchups, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. So if you can't score, and the team you're facing can score, could lead to trouble. But yeah, that's your Ohio State Buckeyes, your 4th out of 6 Big Ten teams that you're going to see this year. No real bad losses other than a loss to Northwestern very early on in the season. All their other losses came against ranked teams or teams that are going to the tournament. So pretty good season for the Ohio State Buckeyes, 21-9, runners-up in the conference championship.
Yeah, and then that brings us to one of the teams that I took a lot of time to do some research on because I'm a fan of their game, Alabama. The Crimson Tide are no longer just a football school. The Crimson Tide are now a legitimate basketball program, I guess, because they're the number 2 seed in the tournament. They had a really, really good regular season in the SEC. Let me pull it. I already have it on the sheet. I don't even need to. Yeah, they went. What was it? Yeah, 24-6, 16-2 in the SEC, which is the noteworthy thing. They've got 4 solid players. One of them comes off the bench. I'd say that he's probably the best 6 man in the country in Javin Quinterly. But their number 1 player is Jaden Shackelford, a 6'3" guard. Lots of guards on this team. Averages 14 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. Javon Quinterly, 6'1" guard, 12.7 points. Comes off the bench, mind you. 2 rebounds and 3 assists per game. John Petty, another lengthy guard at 6'5", 12.3 points per game and 5 rebounds. So, just another long guy. And then Herb Jones, Defensive Player of the Year for the SEC formerly. 11.2 points per game.
I think he the Player of the Year in the SEC.
Oh, was he Player of the Year? Yeah, the guy does it all, man. For a forward, a 6'8" guy to average 3.5 assists per game to lead your team in assists. Lead your team in assists and rebounds. That's huge. He is a phenomenal player, though. So they've got 4 really, really good players. They shoot the ball. They don't shoot at a ridiculously high clip. Their field goal percentage for the year is only 43%. It's in the 200s as far as rankings go. But they made the 4th most threes per game in the country at almost 11 threes per game. They shoot 30 threes per game, which is 3rd most in the country. And then they're top 10 in rebounds and top 30 in offensive rebounds. So they get about 12.5 offensive rebounds per game. So they get second chance opportunities in spite of the fact that they're not the biggest team. But, yeah, they shoot, man. They've got a team of shooters. And they are not afraid to light it up, and just hoist it from deep. They beat, their SEC is another one of those conferences that didn't play a whole lot of non-conference games just because they have so many conference teams,
Hard to really judge teams when they don't play out of conference. It's been kind of a weird year.
That's typical SEC for you.
Yeah.
They don't really
think they're the greatest.
Well, they don't really like playing against teams that aren't in the SEC.
Yeah, could beat them.
So, yeah.
I think did they lose to OU? It was like their only
I wouldn't call
conference game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call that a bad loss. See, I was debating.
OU was a good team,
right? I was gonna put I wasn't just gonna put losses on there for the sake of putting losses. OU's a good team, but yeah, they don't have any bad losses.
When you only play one good non-conference team and you lose to them,
true, very true. But they did do that. No, they did do that noteworthy thing against LSU. Where they beat them 3 times.
They did beat them 3 times.
So
depends on your opinion of LSU, but
it's just
tournament team though. Tournament team. Beat them 3 times. Tough to do.
3 times.
Yeah.
So take that for what it is. They're a team that's good enough to beat another good team 3 times. That's Bama.
And they only got to beat them once.
That's my breakdown of Bama, though, for you.
Okay, so we'll go to the Houston Cougars, another 2 seed. If anybody's watched this show, you know that I have been on my Twitter, you know that I've been preaching my disdain towards Alabama and Houston.
You are not happy about the Houston pick at all.
I've changed my tune about Alabama after what they did in the SEC. I'm not totally sold on them. Houston, however, is still the SEC, and it's down when Kentucky's not good, Florida's not that great. You have a hard time trusting those teams. So I've got the Houston Cougars in the Midwest region, the number 2 seed. They were also the number 2 seed in their own conference.
Conference USA, right? Or is that American? They're in the
American Conference. They did win the tournament pretty easily, but when you don't win your conference outright in the regular season, and you're not in a Power 5,
it's tough.
And you're a 2 seed, it's a tough look. They did go 24-3, however, losses to ECU and Wichita State and Tulsa in their conference. So all three of their losses came in conference. They beat Texas Tech very early on in the season by 11. Texas Tech, pretty young squad. So, take that for what you will. I've watched Houston play a couple of times, and I don't know if I'm totally sold on them. But they do have a pretty decent length. I think everybody is very long on that team, led by Quentin Grimes at 18 points a game, 6 rebounds. He's a 6'5" guard.
He's a transfer, isn't he? Did he transfer from somewhere? For some reason, I thought he was at another school.
Houston, so he's from the Woodlands. So, but he's a 6'5" guard, 205 pounds, 18 points, 6 rebounds. A less than stellar 41% from the field. This team is not going to shoot you out the building. I'll tell you that. They're not going to shoot you out the building. They live on the fast break and getting out and going.
Yeah, Quentin Grimes was at KU. Yeah, Quentin Grimes was at KU. I remember.
Power 5 transfer, Quentin Grimes. That now sounds familiar. Marcus Sasser, 13, almost 14 a game. Again, 39% shooting. So their top 2 scorers shoot on average 40% from the field. Don't love that.
Not at all.
They don't shoot the 3 ball particularly well at 36%. It just feels like a team that is going to be the first top 2 seed to go down. Everything kind of just working against them. And my own personal, I know we said we weren't going to use bias, but I've watched them, and I'm just giving you my honest opinion of them. I don't love what I see out of them. They're not, super well coached, even though Kelvin Sampson is their coach. They just seem like they're kind of out there and just solely based on athleticism. I've seen Louisville teams do this before and not get very far. I've seen Syracuse teams do this and not get very far, and their athletes were probably, 10 times better than what Houston's got at this point. So, again, they only lost 3 games this year. They ran.
And you have a tough enough time watching college basketball for yourself to sit down and watch a defensive team just struggle to make baskets.
Yeah, missed layups, missed shots, airball shots. They beat Tulane in the conference tournament by 25. They won the conference championship.
That's your dog, not mine.
Yeah, that's mine by 37 points. So they didn't struggle at all in their conference championship. So
no,
take that for what you will. I don't love them
at all.
But yeah, so let's go on to your 3 seed while I go and
go ahead and I'm gonna mute you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and mute me real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well, Josh is away. We're gonna take a quick little 20 second break. So just watch this video we got. Yeah, we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, Josh. Oh, I muted you. That's right. I forgot. Sorry about that. Yeah. Welcome back. Sorry. That's why we have that sweet video now. Now we can do like quick little commercial breaks.
Yeah.
Throw that guy on there. So yeah, we're moving on to the 3 seeds though. Back to me. It's my turn again for our homework assignment. I feel like this was a group project that we did that we assigned to ourselves, which I'm fine with. So Quentin Grimes was a fantastic segue into the next team that I'm going to talk about, which is the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas did not win the Big 12 this year.
Not many times can you say that in the past 20 years.
I think this is the first time in the last 14 years, 15 years that I've been able to say that Kansas didn't win the Big 12.
In some way or fashion.
Well,
Whether it was a tournament or regular season.
Either way.
Yep.
Didn't come home with the title. 20-8 this year on a down Kansas team. I think Paul Pierce said it best yesterday. He's like, I don't think I can remember a time where I've seen a Kansas team not get a 1 or 2 by their name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But they're a 3 seed at 20-8, 12-6 in the Big 12. Their top players are Akai Agbaji. Agbaji? I don't know. Agbaji. So we'll just spell it out. But he's a 6'5", lengthy guard, averages 14 points a game, 3.5 boards, and 2 dimes. David McCormick is their 6'10" forward who averages about 13.4 per game, 6 boards, 1 rebound. Marcus Garrett from Dallas Skyline, 6'5" guard, 3-time Big 12 all defense first team. Locks it down. 10 points a game, 4.5 boards, almost 4 dimes per game.
Started more games than any other Kansas Jayhawk on that team.
He's been around. I think he's a junior too. No, excuse me, he's a senior.
I think he's a senior, yeah.
Yeah, he's a senior. Yeah, to go along with that other senior, Mitch Lightfoot, who I think he's a doctor by now.
Been there a long time.
Jalen Wilson, another just lengthy wing, 6'8" forward, 12 points, 8 boards, 2 dimes, moves the ball around. As a team, they do not shoot the ball well. Not terribly bad, but 44% from the floor is not great. 34% from deep is good enough for 142nd in the country. So they are just an absolutely average shooting team, averaging 73 points per game. Once again, that's just 125th average. 38 rebounds per game, which is 59th. Just a very, very average team, slightly above average statistically. They, played in a tough Big 12 conference. They got
really good at the end of the season.
They did. They beat Baylor, which was a big win. They beat Creighton early in the season, a tournament team. So, yeah, they beat the teams that they were supposed to. They didn't lose to anyone that they weren't supposed to.
And Bill Self's their coach. So.
And Bill Self's their head coach. So
which goes a long way in the tournament.
It really, really does.
Teams.
That's an intangible big time right there. So, yeah, that's the Kansas Jayhawks right there in a nutshell.
Good segue to the team I have, the Arkansas Razorbacks.
We had a comment, Josh, on your dog.
Yeah, and it was a very nice dog, but he heard a train and he just jumped off the deep end. Before we get to Arkansas, I want to mention Mitch Lightfoot is very much like Perry Ellis to me. Where it just seems like he was there for
I was like, is Perry Ellis still there?
Yeah. It just seems like I thought maybe he was like sixth man at this point.
Seriously, like I was looking at their numbers and stuff, and I was like, oh well, he doesn't stand out, but he's on the team. Yeah. He does a little bit of everything, but he's not one of their like guys that you want to focus on. But at the same time, he's not a bad player.
Hey. I couldn't remember Perry Ellis' name, and so I had to Google it. So all I Googled was Kansas basketball player who was there forever, and the first thing that popped up was Perry Ellis.
That's so funny you say that because I literally looked that up the other day when they were
the same way.
It was the conference tournament. Kansas was playing, and one of the announcers said something about like, "Man, I hope Mitch Lightfoot has his PhD by now." And I was like, "Oh man, who is that other guy?" Kansas
triggered,
does this. And then before that, they had Langford, who was there forever.
That other big white guy, I can't remember. It started with an A.
Aldrich.
Aldrich. Yep. Anyway, so let's get on to Arkansas, the number 3 seed in the South region. Another SEC team. I wasn't blown away by the SEC this year. I just feel like when Kentucky's down, the whole conference is down. Florida was down. So your notable stalwarts were down. But Arkansas, they're led by Moses Moody, 6'6" guard, averaging 17 points per game. JD Note at 13.3 a game, and then a big man in Justin Smith, averaging 13 and 7. They shot about 73% from the free throw line. They played pretty well all season long. They didn't have any big losses. They lost to Mizzou kind of fell out of the rankings. By the time Mizzou was playing well, lost to Tennessee. Tennessee was playing well at the time, lost to Alabama, lost to an Oklahoma State team by 4 points. I'm big on that Oklahoma State team, as we'll talk about a little bit later. But only lost to them by 4 points, and that was around mid-season. So that was the Big 12 SEC showdown. So they hung in there. So a lot of good wins. Not a lot of good wins, but not a lot of bad losses on this Arkansas team. And they've got a guard in Moses Moody that shot 45% from the field and averaged over 17 a game. So if he can get them through scoring droughts and he could push them over the top for a little while, I think they've got a pretty tough matchup, even at the 10 seed they're playing. But we'll get into that. But overall, good season for Arkansas, 22-6. So look for them to if they can catch fire, if they can keep their hot run going, to maybe push a little bit in that South region. I think they're going to have to face Ohio State eventually, and they could be an Ohio State team if they get hot. So be on the lookout for them.
Woo Pig Suey. So the next number 3 seed is Texas, University of Texas. The Longhorns, our home state. Neither one of us are a fan. We're a fan of the state, not the university. But yeah, Shaka Smart's squad got a 3 seed this year after going 19-7, including 11-6, good enough for 3rd place in the Big 12. They're facing off Abilene Christian in this first round. They've got 3. Excuse me. All that coffee. They've got 3 main scorers that they pretty much work the ball through. They're all guards. Andrew Jones, not to be confused with the 14-time Gold Glove winning center fielder.
Nearly Hall of Famer center fielder.
Should be in the Hall of Fame center fielder. He hit over 400 home runs, put him in. Matt Coleman, a 6'2" guard, and then Courtney Ramey, a 6'3" guard. Jones averages about 15 points a game. Coleman 13. Same with Ramey. Ramey and Coleman 4 assists per game. They do a little bit of everything, but those are the 3 main guys that they got. And then they've got 2 bigs in Greg Brown, a 6'9" freshman out of Austin, and then Jericho Sims, a 6'10" forward. Yeah, they're big dudes. They board. They defend in the paint well. But yeah, those are the main guys. The first 3, the guards are their scorers, though. Shaka Smart always seems to use a lot of guard heavy sets. He's a guard heavy coach. So from his time coming from VCU, where all you could recruit as guards. But so before I go into their team numbers and stuff, guess how many top 100 recruits they have on their team?
I'm going to say 5.
11.
Wow.
11 guys in the top 80.
Wow. That's some depth.
That's a lot of depth. You got to wonder why they're not, better than 19-7. Is that coaching? Shaka Smart's over.
Big 12 is tough.
Big 12 is tough. But yeah, as a team, nothing stats-wise, nothing stands out except this was noteworthy. So in the Big 12 conference, they averaged 75, right? Regular season, non-conference conference, 75 points a game, gave up 71 points per game. So they played every game close. All their games were close. So they know how to win close games. I don't say that to say they don't know how to blow teams out. They don't know how to run away with it. I say like the tournament is, games are close.
Yep.
The margin for error is so small. They know how to win games, at the end when it matters.
Games.
Right. The 40th best rebounding team in the country. They don't block exceptionally well for their size. They, don't get a whole lot of steals. They don't create a whole lot of turnovers at all. Their opponents only average about 12 turnovers per game. So they just do, they rebound and they play teams to the end. They give themselves a chance every single game, and they more times than not come out on the right side of it. As far as quality wins and losses, that they won the tournament. For teams that
they did.
won,
didn't have to play Kansas. They got a kind of a free pass, but
yeah, it was another one of the Disneyland championships in a year of Disneyland championships. They don't have any bad losses. They lost to Tech's not a bad loss.
Yeah, and they beat Tech as well in the conference tournament. So
so they beat West Virginia. They split it with a bunch of teams. And they beat Kansas. They beat Oklahoma State. They beat North Carolina. Man, everyone beat North Carolina non-conference. And then they won the Big 12 tournament. So they're a solid team. No glaring losses that'll make you think oh, okay, they're probably going to blow it to a 14 seed. But yeah, that's the University of Texas. I
like Texas. I think they can do some good things. They got two big guys and some good guard play. So
the tournament's all about guard play, man.
Yeah, and I may be biased, but I'm just big on the Big 12 and the Big 10 teams. If you were a better team in those two conferences and you had to deal with those teams, you had to play week in and week out. I think when you play a SEC school or a non-Power 5 school, you take a little bit of a breath. Okay, this is not near as hard of the schedule that I already went through. So So let's get to another Big 12 team, a team that I, again, am fairly smitten by. A well-coached, Bob Huggins coached West Virginia Mountaineer team.
Boy, I love me some Bob Huggins.
Yeah. I don't know how he's not already in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, but I know a lot of coaches are pushing for that.
Poor graduation rate.
Yeah. Doesn't graduate a lot of players, but knows how to win. So somewhat. So they're led by their guard, Miles McBride. Pretty good shooter. He's about a 40% three-point shooter. He's averaging 15 a game, over 4.5 assists per game. Of course, it's a Bob Huggins team, so he averages almost 2 steals a game. This team knows how to turn up the pressure on teams when they need to. And I feel like, as always in college basketball, if you're able to pressure teams start to turn it over, you start getting on the fast break, and it really squeezes that will to win away from those teams. And then they have a really good big man in Derek Culver. He is a free throw shooting machine. He doesn't shoot them well, but he gets to the line better than almost anybody in the country. He's only shooting a 61% clip from there, but he gets there probably 10, 12 times a game. So he's still putting up 7, 8 points a game from the free throw line, which is big. He's grabbing nearly 10 boards a game. So that's big. They hadn't lost a game this year by more than 6 points. So another team that just lived in close games. They held close with Gonzaga. They lost by 5 to Gonzaga early on in the season, 87-82. They lost to Kansas by – they have one loss of more than 6 points. That was to Kansas by 14. Then after that, OU by 5. They lost to Texas by 2. They lost to Florida by 5. OU by 1 in overtime. Baylor by 5. Oklahoma State by 5, and then 3 in the tournament. So they play in a lot of close games, and I feel like if they can get the pressure turned up on teams in those close games that aren't, the Baylors or the Oklahoma States of the world, where you have a dominant guard like Jared Butler or Cade Cunningham, teams can really fall into their traps. And they don't put the pressure on all the time, but in the close game, they'll start to ramp up that pressure, and not a lot of teams can handle that historically in the tournament. So I really like this West Virginia team. I think they're a 3 seed that can push deep into the tournament. They are probably my favorite 3 seed in the tournament. I like Texas, but I think West Virginia is my favorite. Some other people aren't as smitten with that with this team, so take that for what it is. But 18-9 in the Big 12, everything was close. Hung in there with the Gonzaga team. They've got a good guard and good big man, and then a couple other guards that are averaging double digits. So they can put the ball in the hoop and they can pressure you. So that'll wrap up our 3 seeds. I really like that group. A lot of Big 12 teams in that 3 seeds. But
Keeping them
I really
apart
like
from
West
each other.
Virginia and Texas.
Keeping them away from each other. Let them see if they can find each other in the Final Four.
Let them take a breath.
So now we're on the 4th round, 4 seeds. This is going swimmingly, Josh. We're only an hour in. We're only an hour
I really
in.
like it.
4. This is great. Like we said, folks, you're not going to get this kind of in-depth analysis from anywhere. ESPN's just going to waste your time for an hour and just give you some yucks and talk about, God knows what. Not here. We're going to dive right in to Virginia, the Cavaliers. Reigning national championships, I guess, or national champs still, right?
Yeah, technically.
Technically. You got to beat Mike just busted. You got to beat the man to be the man. So no one has beaten Virginia or knocked them off their,
Yeah, and in the tournament.
Exactly. 18-6 this year. They won the ACC, going 13-4. A very, very bad ACC team or ACC conference. The Atlantic Coast Conference was god awful this year. Duke didn't make the dance. If that tells you anything. Their top players: Sam Hauser, a 6'8" forward, averaging 16 points a game, 2 assists, and nearly 7 boards. Jay Huff is their center, 7'1", a big behemoth of a man, 13 points a game, 7 boards. They've got Trey Murphy, a 6'9" guard. That's right, another long guard, 11 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. And then Kahai Clark. Kahai?
Yeah, I think you're saying it right. I don't think anybody's going to correct you. So
Clark,
a
5'9" guard, averages right around 10 points a game, 4.5 assists. So he is the one initiating the offense, getting things going. As a team, they shoot 25% from the floor. Or excuse me, 45%. Whoa, 25 would be awful. 48% from the floor, which is good for 25th in the country. Sorry, so they're the 25th best shooting team in the country.
Numbers are hard.
Right, they're extremely hard. So I was reading. Opponents only shoot around less than 42% from the floor. They only score 68 points per game, 68.5. So unlike the other teams that I've gotten to talk about, specifically in the West region, this is one of the few teams in the West that does not shoot the ball.
Typical Virginia team.
Right. Typical Virginia. They, take the air out of the ball. They have long, drawn out possessions. That's just the way they play. They shoot 38% from deep, which is a top 20 shooting percentage. So they, can shoot. And here, I thought this was very noteworthy because I think, if you're down in the dance, you're going to have to find a way to claw back. And one of the ways that you do that is by forcing turnovers. They have forced the 3rd fewest turnovers in the country. Their opponents commit less than 10 turnovers per game. So they don't do a whole lot of creating, opportunities for themselves defensively as far as, poking the ball loose and things like that. They just, secure the rebound and get it on the other end. They play a very, very just half-court game. They beat you on both halves of the court. Noteworthy wins. They beat Clemson, tourney team, and then they beat North Carolina. Those are, like I said, the ACC was really down this year, so there aren't a whole lot of noteworthy wins within the conference to even point at.
I think when you start getting into the 4 seeds, you start looking at the noteworthy losses more than anything. And I think there's more scattered in the losses than there is in the wins when you start talking about 4 seeds.
Right. And the thing is, there weren't a whole lot of there were no bad losses.
So.
Right. There weren't a lot of bad losses, but the ACC was so bad this year that it's like none of their wins were impressive.
Just nothing spectacular.
Right. Exactly. And then I didn't even look, or I looked up who their losses were, but they were to good teams, like their non-conference loss.
Who did they lose in the ACC tournament to? Was that Georgetown? No, they
Georgetown's Big
they
East.
they lost to COVID.
Yeah, they
forgot.
lost to COVID.
Mm.
And Georgia Tech
Tough,
got
that's a
advance.
tough team. Yep,
Hey.
tough team.
Yeah, no, COVID's undefeated, and Georgia Tech ended up getting the dub.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Virginia. That's the UVA Cavaliers.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and talk about the team that's on my shirt, the Purdue Boilermakers.
Boiler up!
The 341st youngest team in the nation out of 345. Pretty good season for them. 18-9. They weren't expected to be as good as they were. And when you're that young and not expected to be as good as you were, you do have some bad losses on your resume, mostly early season. But the two that stick out to me is Clemson, even though they're a tournament team. And then they lost to a pretty bad Miami team where they were up by 20 at half at one point and lost 59-54. So that's pretty much all of their bad losses. They beat Ohio State twice, lost to them in overtime in the conference quarterfinals. Tough to beat a team 3 times. Ohio State's a 2 seed. And they took them to overtime. So they have a dominant big man in Travion Williams, first team all Big Ten big man, and a Big Ten that's got a lot of big men like Hunter Dickinson and Coffee Coburn, Luka Garza. Travion Williams still first team all Big Ten, averaging 16 and 9. He's just one of those guys you can go to, late in games, and he's gonna make baskets. He's gonna throw people around. Doesn't shoot the free throws very well at 50%. The team as is doesn't shoot the 3 ball very well at 33%, and they also don't guard the 3 very well. So that could be a big hang up for them in the tournament. They've got 2 Big Ten all-freshman players in Jaden Ivey, who is an electric guard, and then Zach Edey, the 7'4" Canadian that grew up playing hockey. Both of those guys really turned it on towards the end of the season, and I would say an X factor for this Purdue team is Sasha Stefanovic, their senior guard. He's their 3-point threat. He got COVID in February, and he was red hot before that, got COVID, comes back, and has looked like a shell of himself. So if he can find his way and start knocking down threes again, he's a 40% three-point shooter. He was like 47% before COVID. If he can start knocking down shots, this Purdue team could be dangerous. If he doesn't, this team could be due for an upset in the second round. So again, a young team, don't know how to trust them. Matt Painter, very good coach, and they have one dominant big man that can get them buckets in a drought. So that's your Purdue Boilermakers, your 4th seed in the South.
Boiler up, baby.
Boiler up.
I'm cheering for him just for you.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
They need all the help they can get.
Obviously,
the next team, I say obviously, the other 4 seed that I've got is Florida State. Once again, Florida State is gigantic. Every year, it seems like, what's his name? Leonard something?
Yeah, Leonard Williams.
What's his name? Dude, he's a solid coach, man. Like that guy. Yeah. For you to be able to turn Florida State into a basketball, Leonard Hamilton.
Yeah.
But I mean, Florida State's like, you can pencil him in the dance every year now. Every year that he's there.
Yeah. And they always have the same players, it feels like.
Hey, dude, I feel like they have the same. Like, I'll tell you who their roster's made up, and you'll be like, "Oh, are you sure that guy's not, a 6th-year senior? He's only a sophomore."
Yeah.
So MJ Walker, a 6'5" guard, senior, one of those guys that I feel like he's been there forever. 13 points, 2.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He's their scorer. And then Raekwon Gray, 6'8" forward, 260, so a big boy. 6.5 boards, 2.5 assists, 12 points per game. Scotty Barnes, a 6'9" guard, freshman. Okay, 6'9", 230, just a big boy. The 5th ranked high school prospect.
Did you say guard?
Yeah, 6'9", 230 guard.
I feel like Purdue is always going to have a 7-foot white guy that can't move very well, and Florida State's going to have 6'9" guards that are going to go pro after their freshman year, even though they didn't do a lot. In college, just because their body's insane.
11 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists.
Yeah.
He moved
Yeah.
like he is a guard. He 4
And he's
assists. per game.
6'9". Crazy.
Right. So here's this guy's not, he doesn't average double-digit points, but it's a staple of Florida State to have a giant. He's 7'1". His name's Balsa Kapravica from Serbia. 7'1", 240. All right, went to Montverde Academy. 9 points a game, 6 boards. But he's just huge. He's 7'1". That's typical Florida State right there for you.
Yep.
They just get giant people. He's not their only 7-footer on their team either. They've got another 7-footer, a freshman. He doesn't play a whole lot. He's from Senegal. Went to high school in Canada. But yeah, they've got giants everywhere. They got a 6'9" guard.
Leonard Hamilton abides by the rule. As long as my team is the tallest team, I have a chance to win.
They don't have a player. They don't have a player in their rotation under 6'5".
Ow.
So they're long.
Hard to match up with.
Right. They don't blow anyone out of the water on rebounds. They're the 11.6 offensive rebounds per game is only good for 57th in the country. So, for all their size and everything, they don't really do a good job of attacking the glass. They are 154th in the country in defensive rebounds. So they give up a lot of second chance opportunities, seemingly. As far as field goals wise, they hold opponents to under 40% from the floor. So they do a great job of packing the paint. They don't give up a lot of baskets, a lot of easy baskets at least. They shoot 47% from the floor themselves. From the line, they shoot about 74% from the free throw line as a team. So it's pretty solid. The thing that, once again, stands out about them, they are 12th in the country in blocks with 5.1 blocks per game. So, they protect the paint. That's typical of Florida State. They finished, second in the ACC at 16-6, 11-4 again in the weak ACC. No major non-conference. Am I?
You're slowing down. I can't hear you.
Do you hear me now?
All right. Well, I will go ahead and take Oklahoma State here.
You can't hear me?
As Garrett figures out his broadcasting issues because we cannot hear him.
Well, this is a nightmare.
If we have any call-ins, now is not the time because Garrett handles that on his side. So let's go ahead and talk about Oklahoma State here. We're looking at a 20-8 team, and they're led by the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, Cade Cunningham, at 20 points a game. Freshman from Arlington, does everything. 20 points, 6 boards, nearly 4 assists, 1.5 steals. He shoots 45% from the field, 85% from free throw line, and 41% from the three-point line. Just pretty absurd numbers for an 18-year-old. An 18-year-old from Oklahoma State, no less. Should they be in the tournament? I don't know. They're still on appeal. So looks like they're going to play. I'm happy about it. I don't think you can leave a player like him out of the tournament. Pretty deep team, though. They have 6 players averaging over 8 points a game. A couple solid big men in Moncrief and Boone. Avery Anderson, if he plays well in this tournament, Oklahoma State could go a long way. I think for me, he's the X factor. He shoots 48% from the field, 85% from free throw line, and 34% from the 3-point stripe. But he
thank
apparently
you,
we
Jordan.
can hear you. Only
I knew it. Yeah, you're the one having the issue right now.
So that'll be an interesting dynamic in this. So
make the show great again.
I can't hear you at all. Can you hear me?
Hold on, we got a call in.
I assume people can hear me because they say,
Dang it,
we can hear Garrett. So I guess it's just on my side.
Hello.
Let me exit and come back. I'm going to exit and come back and see if that fixes things.
Hold on,
and we'll
sorry,
go
we've
back
got some
into
technical
talking
difficulties going
about
on.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Hey, who's calling? Who's this?
Michael Roberts from Fitzhugh, Oklahoma.
Michael Roberts. How's it going tonight? How are you? Hopefully, Josh is back in. What's on your mind? You got some?
I'm curious.
All right, can you hear me?
How far y'all think
Yeah.
Oklahoma State can
I
go?
can't hear you though. This is interesting.
Well, that's
This is interesting.
we're gonna get into that, actually.
Anyway, so I'll finish off in Oklahoma State.
hold on.
Give me one sec.
Josh is-
We're probably talking into each other. I'll go ahead
we
and
are
finish off
currently
Oklahoma
talking-
State.
Call me back in a second. Okay,
and-
we're gonna go into that. We're gonna get into.
I think we're gonna let Garrett talk. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me talk real quick, Josh. We've got a caller on right now, and he
I don't know. This is all
wants to
new.
know
So
about Oklahoma State and how they're going to do later on in the
I'm going
tournament.
to open
And we're
up
going to get to that
from a different avenue so I can hear both.
later on in the show. Right now, we're just going over all of the
Okay.
All their games were close.
All right. So call in
they
then.
know how to win.
Stay
We've got a
tuned.
caller on right now, and
Great. I can hear now.
wants to know about
Yeah.
Oklahoma State and how they're going to do later on in the
I'm
tournament.
This is awful, though. We need that to stop.
Later on in the show. Right now, we're just going over all of it. Okay.
I'm muting
All
Josh.
their games were close. All right.
This is awful, though. We need that to stop. Yeah. Yeah. We're just gonna do the technical difficulties. Video.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Here's this panic.
Oh, we got a caller.
And it's me, your co-host.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry. I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you, but everybody can hear you and me at the same time, and running into each other is not going to be good.
Well, guess what? I've been charging my Bluetooth headphones all day.
I don't know if it's a headphone problem.
No, I'm just going to have you on the phone now.
Oh, okay, great.
I got to put in technical difficulties on again.
Yeah.
Now this is how you lose viewers.
Yeah, sorry everybody.
Here's
Here's
the
Dixon.
Maybe it was my headphones. Maybe I'll just take the headphones off.
Yes. Try that.
Okay, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. All right. We're back.
I hate everything. We missed a great opportunity for a caller. We just whatever. All right, we're back. Florida State. We were done with that. Oklahoma State. What that nice young man who had called in wanted to know about Oklahoma State was how far they were going to make it in the dance. You couldn't hear him. You couldn't hear him talk about it.
Talking over him.
Yeah, you and I just kept yelling because we couldn't hear each other. Everyone could hear us. So that was fun. Worked
Good
that out
radio.
real nice. But yeah, so you did a great job. Or I want you to do Oklahoma State again, honestly, because that's a big
Let
one.
me just rewind it back. It'll be a little bit more.
Florida State didn't really, impress anyone aside from just being gigantic, and they won a garbage ACC game, or ACC conference. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so Oklahoma State, they are led by Cade Cunningham.
Also, I put an asterisk.
Yeah, and they are also on appeals. So tomorrow we could wake up and the NCAA conference, they could say, hey, we don't want them in there. They lost their appeal and not be in it. And Louisville or someone like that will jump in and place.
Deservedly so, because they don't cheat. Maybe Notre Dame.
And that nice young gentleman also wanted to know if Oklahoma State should be in the 2 seed above Houston. But I'm going to say no because they didn't win the Big 12. If they would have won the Big 12, he could have convinced me. But Texas won it, so they jumped from a 5 to a 3. Got to win your conference, at least a tournament. And Houston did that. But I would say Cade Cunningham, going to be the number 1 overall pick, 20 points a game, 1.5 steals, 6 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shoots well from the field, shoots well from the free throw line, shoots well from the 3-point line. A couple good big men and Boone and Moncrief. And then I think their X factor is Avery Anderson. I'm not sure if everybody heard me say that earlier, but he shoots 48% from the field, and 85% from the free throw line. He's averaging almost 12 points a game. If he can get to the hoop and he can score and be, help take off the load from Cade Cunningham, who just seems to know when to turn it on. But if he doesn't have to turn it on late in the game, if he can just be consistent and have Avery Anderson put up 14 or 15, I think this team can go a long way.
Yeah, I really like Oklahoma State too.
Yeah, they're young and they get better, week to week. So it's another big team that I really like.
That's what happens when you got a freshman as your star player. Yeah. All right.
He's 6'8" guard. So
yeah, 6'8" guard, projected number 1 overall pick. Guy's solid. Guy knows how to make plays. So those are the 4 seeds. All right, we're doing well. We're doing good. The 5th seeds are where things get interesting. This is where, right here, right at the 5 seed, this is the point where it's just a bunch of mix between like 5 all the way through 11. Is just like it literally could have been any of them.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot when you get past the 4 seed, even to 12 or the 12 seeds are. Maybe you have Winthrop at 12. They only lost like 1 game this year, 2 games this year. So the first number 5 seed that we're going to talk about is Creighton. And before we get into the Creighton Jays on-court actions, obviously we never talked about it on our show. We posted about it, but we never really spoke about it. Dougie McBucket's dad, Greg McDermott, was in a bit of hot water and even, said that he would be willing to resign after telling his players to not leave the plantation, a bizarre expression that I've never heard. I've never heard my coaches say, don't leave the plantation. Now, I'm also, of the mind that like, hey, stop being a titty baby. Like, it's whatever. The players, same thing. They don't really care, but it was worth ESPN writing about. So, yeah, it's headline news. So
yeah, headline news. They made headlines. They've got 5 players who score in double figures though. So 4 guards, 1 forward. They run that 4-out offense. Marcus Zagorowski. All right,
that's a great name I've ever heard of.
If that's not a Midwest name, I don't know what it is. 6'2" guard, 15.5 points per game, almost 4 boards and 4 assists per game. So a little bit of a do-it-all kind of play, but undersized, 6'2". I say undersized. That's a normal height for a point guard, but in this day and age, and all these other teams that we're listing, they've got 6'9" guards. Damian Jefferson, a 6'5" guard, averages 12 points a game, 5.5 boards, 2.5 assists. Denzel Mahoney, a 6'5" guard, 12.5 points, 4 boards. Christian Bishop is their big man at all of 6'7", averages almost 11 points a game and 6 boards. And then Mitchell Ballack, another lengthy guard at 6'5", 10 points, 2.5 assists, 3 rebounds per game. So 5 guys that all average double figures. A rotation that goes about 8 deep. They're 14-6 in the Big East, second in the Big East, 20-7 overall on the year. As a team, another offense. This entire region, the entire West region, is just all offense, man. They shoot 47.6% from the floor, holding opponents to around 40%. So they're 32nd best offensive. 32nd best offense. 77 points per game. They beat Villanova. So that's a big win. And then they beat UConn 3 times. So
and I'm about to get into Nova, but was the Nova win before or after Connor Gillespie went down?
I think it was I think they beat him the first time. And I could be mistaken.
It
but
might have been the game they went down. But anyways.
Yeah.
Still, good wins against UConn and Creighton.
Good win. Villanova and UConn. Yeah.
Yeah.
For Creighton.
Yeah. For Creighton. Yep.
So, yeah, they're a 5 seed. Whatever.
Yeah. So that'll get us into our second Big East team.
We'll pick it up.
Aforementioned. Yeah. Villanova. So not high on this Villanova team. They did beat Creighton in the Big East tournament. And that was without Connor Gillespie, but their point guard going down is a big part of that offense, going down with a knee injury. So he's out. That is going to be tough. He averaged 14, 3, and 5 assists, shot 43% from the field goal range, from the field, 38% from 3-point land, and 83% from the free throw line. Just really hasn't been the same Villanova team since he went down. And they catch a Winthrop team that's pretty good. So though they had some big wins versus Texas early on, they went through 6 games where they were just postponed. But they beat Georgetown. They beat Creighton in the tournament, lost to Butler at the end of the season. And then I guess they didn't beat Creighton in the tournament. They lost to Georgetown in the tournament. They lost to Providence in the tournament. They lost 3 of their last 4. There's something to be said about getting hot at the right time, and they have not gotten hot at the right time. And with Gillespie going down, I think that's really going to detriment this team. And they could be a first weekend out. They could be either way, I don't think they can beat a Purdue team in the second round without Gillespie. And they're going to have a tough time with Winthrop. Wintrop's a good team. I'll touch on them a little bit later. But I don't love this team. So,
yeah, and then we've got another team that none of us love, a Pac-12 school. Like most Pac-12 schools, don't love them. Not a huge fan. Colorado, the Buffaloes.
Pac-12 tournament champ.
Yeah, that's why they got bumped up to the 3rd seed. I'm sure they went 14-6, got 3rd in the Pac-12, 22-8 on the year. So they played 30 full games, and they're going to take on that Georgetown team in the first round. They've got three primary scorers, a 6-foot guard named McKinley Wright, very solid, 15.5 points per game, 5.5 assists per game, and 4 rebounds. So he, another one of those guys that does it all, even in spite of the fact of only being 6 feet tall. Their forwards are Jariah Horn and Evan Battery, both around 6'8". Battery's around 265 pounds, so he's a heavy set guy. Close to 11 points between the two of them, right at around 5.5 boards for each and 1 assist. So almost just carbon copies of each other, minus the size, just stats wise. And yeah, they're lengthy. Aside from McKinley Wright being 6 feet tall, the rest of their team's all 6'7", 6'8". They don't have anyone. They've got one guy over 7 feet tall who doesn't play a whole lot in Dallas Walton. I wonder if there's any relation to Bill. But yeah, he's their only 7-footer. But yeah, nothing really jumps off the page about Colorado being a 5 seed. Nothing's really spectacular about them. They shoot 45% from the floor. Yeah, just a pretty solid Pac-12 team. Would take that for what it's worth. Wouldn't be surprised if they. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they lose in the first round of Georgetown.
Georgetown's hot, like I said.
And Georgetown has size too.
Yeah.
Which Colorado doesn't have. That's a matchup thing. But yeah, that's Colorado. That's the Buffaloes right there.
That'll bring us to the Tennessee Volunteers, the 5 seed in the Midwest region. They beat Kansas this year. They beat Arkansas this year, 2-3 seeds. already. They played pretty well. They got pretty hot in the SEC tournament, didn't win it, but they played well, lost to the LSU team in the semifinals. They are going to be without their senior forward, possibly, John Fulkerson. He had to get surgery for facial injuries suffered in their win against Florida. He's a 6'9" big man. He started 55 games the past 2 seasons. He's averaged almost 10 points and 6 boards this season. And he had 14 and 7 before he went out against Florida. So that could be a big loss for them. If they don't have him, it could be tough sledding. Nobody on this team really, outweighs another guy. I think their leading score is at 12.5, and if Fulkerson averages 10, it's a pretty big loss if no one else can carry the load for him. So we'll see. It was a down SEC, and Tennessee was ranked once upon a time, but they really played poorly towards the end of the season, very kind of inconsistently. So you don't know what Tennessee you're going to get, but one without John Fulkerson is not one I'm willing to bet on to go deep.
Agreed.
5 seeds.
Agreed. That's the 5s. On to the 6. And starting us off, back up in the West, where we've always started. USC, second in the Pac-12 at 15-5. That's a ton of conference games. 22-7 on the year. Their top players are Evan Mobley and his brother Isaiah Mobley. Evan is 7 foot tall. Isaiah 6'8". Evan averages 17 points. Potential lottery pick. Averages 17 points per game, 8.5 boards, 2 dimes. His brother averages 9 points, 7.5 boards, and almost 2 assists. And then Taj Edey, their guard, their main ball handler, right around 14 points per game, 3 boards, 2.5 assists. As a team, they hold opponents to under 40% shooting from the floor. So they're a very solid defensive team. In just with their size and everything, they're the 7th best shot blocking team in the country. Right. So they're, a very, very good defensive team. You're not going to get a lot of easy baskets against them. The thing that's going to screw them, without a doubt, is their 64.7% from the charity stripe.
Tough sledding.
Just hack the whole team. Just foul them all because they miss. They've got some notable wins. They beat UCLA twice, a tournament team, Oregon, and BYU, another 6 seed. So, and they beat them all bad. They have a bad loss, though. They lost to a bad Utah team. So if they take that off their resume, they might be a 3 seed, man.
Yeah, this is where you start to see a lot of bad losses sprinkled in. It's just going to get worse as we go through.
Yep. No, that's USC. Nothing spectacular. They took care of business in what I consider to be a weak Pac-12, and then had a bad loss against Utah. They're big.
Yeah, tough to play against size. Can't teach it. Can't teach size.
Ever.
So let's go with the next 6 seed, Texas Tech Red Raiders. This is a pretty young team. They're led by Max McClung, not a young guy, transferred from Georgetown, averages 16 a game, doesn't shoot the ball particularly well. He's one of those guys, if he's hot, get him the ball, but he can also shoot you out of games. And then they've got 4 guys averaging double digits, pretty good guards or big men in Santos Silva. And then they've got another big man. His name is escaping me right now, but Kyler Edwards is good. Terrence Shannon out of Chicago, 6'6" guard. If he gets hot, the team can get beat if they get hot. The problem is they can go through spurts of not scoring, and I think that's really what's going to kill them down the stretch. Along with free throws, they lost the Big 12 tournament to Texas because they missed like 11 or 12 free throws. And couldn't seal that game away. No real bad losses on Tech's line, however. They lost to Houston early, lost to Kansas, Oklahoma State a couple of times, Kansas a couple of times, West Virginia, and Baylor a couple of times. So they beat the teams they were supposed to. They held, serve with most of the teams that most of the tournament teams they faced. I don't love this Texas Tech team. They've got a string in the past few years of being really good in the tournament. I think Chris Barrett is a great coach. So maybe he can will them to another Elite Eight appearance. But they aren't my favorite in the South. And they're not my second favorite, probably not my third favorite in the South region. But if McClung gets hot and if Terrence Shannon or somebody else on that team gets hot, look out because they can play defense and they play very aggressive defense. They're tough to go against. And if you're not ready for it, they'll hit you in the mouth. So,
yeah, that's Red Raiders right there for you. They've been in the dance the last like 4 or 5 years now, huh?
They went to the national championship against Virginia. Elite Eight.
That was their chance. That was their chance.
Yep.
So the next team on the list is BYU, the Storm and Mormons. Out in the WAC or the WCC, the West Coast Conference, with Gonzaga, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So they got second. They are the perennial runner-up in the West Coast Conference every year, losing to Gonzaga. It seems like, you got one private. You got that. What are they? Is Gonzaga Catholic? I think so. Got that private Catholic school
right.
beating up that private Mormon school. Excuse me, Latter-day Saints.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's what they prefer. BYU is led by a bunch of 40-year-olds though, because they all go on their mission and then come back as like 25-year-old men, and then do the whole college thing. Alex Barcello is a 6'2" guard from Arizona, averages about 16 points a game, almost 5 boards and 4.5 assists. So he's the straw that stirs the drink. And then they've got another short guard, 5'11", Brandon Averett from Richardson, right down the road. 11.5 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, and almost 4 assists. And then they've got a 7'3" center from Amsterdam. 11
Purdue transfer.
Oh, Matt Harms. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great hair.
I was hoping you'd pick up on that. I remember Purdue.
Great hair.
11.5 points per game, almost 5 rebounds, which for a guy 7'3", 5 rebounds, really. And then 1.1 assists per game. Those are the 3 key players for the BYU Cougars. They average a little under 80 points per game, right at 78.7. It's but good enough for 35th in the country. So they score the basket. That's just what they do. Almost 40 rebounds a game. They're a top 25 rebounding team. They are the 5th best defensive rebounding team. So they limit temes to one shot. That's huge.
Chances.
They're not good at blocking shots. They don't create a lot of turnovers. They only generate 11.5 turnovers per game. That's how many turnovers they create. But they secure the ball.
They rebound misses.
Yep. They rebound on the defensive end. Yep. Shoot 48.2% from the floor, which is another top 25 number. So yeah, they're a good offensive team. They're almost 38% from deep. So they limit your ability. They limit your opportunities on offense. Like them defensively, they limit the other team's offensive opportunities. And then on offense, they're extremely efficient with the ball. 17th in the country in assists. Yeah. So that's, just typical, fundamental lunch pail, hard worker basketball. Yeah. They're not going to jump out of the gym at you. They're not going to beat you with their athleticism ever.
Yeah. So that's your BYU Cougars. And our last 6 seed is San Diego State Aztecs. They're coming into the tournament about as hot as anybody. They've won 14 straight games. They won the Mountain West. They won it outright, and they also won the tournament. So coming in pretty hot. They just beat a tournament team in Utah State, who went 20-8. So their only losses are to tournament teams, one being BYU by 10. They lost to Colorado State, who went 18-6, and they lost twice in back-to-back games to Utah State. And in this conference, they did a lot of the back-to-backs. Shout out to Jordan Ruprecht's Colorado State. He's very high on them. But they lost. They played back-to-back games for every team in the conference. So they played Nevada twice in a row, Colorado State twice in a row, Utah State twice in a row. Lost both of those games in Utah State, but beat them late in the season. So Team can make some noise. Anytime you go 22-4 and you've won 14 straight, you can make some noise. They have a player, Matt Mitchell, that averages 15 points a game. Jordan Shackle, who averages 14 points a game. All three of their top scorers also shoot above 80% from the free throw stripe, which is big. Shackle shoots 47% from the 3-point line. So look for him to light it up. If they can get him going, live and die by the three. If you can get your 3-point shooter going, he could carry you a long way. So if you like San Diego State and you like that Mountain West Conference, and you want to get hooked on one guy that can just shoot the ball, Jordan Shackle might be your guy.
Man, we're flying through it now.
We're in a good rhythm now.
All right. So, those are the 6 seeds. Now we're on to 7. We're just getting through it. The 7 seed, you got, first of all, in the West, Oregon. First in the Pac-12, 14-4 in conference play, 20-6 overall. They've, let's see what kind of noteworthy wins they have here. They beat UCLA. Everyone seemed to have beaten UCLA. They beat Colorado, who you said earlier. Interesting note, they won the Pac-12, but they're ranked lower than both USC and Colorado.
Wow.
So a lot of emphasis placed, I guess, on the conference tournament. Their top players are Eugene Omoruyi. Anyway, 6'6" forward, averages almost 17 points per game and 5 boards to go along with 2 assists. Chris Duarte, feel like he's been there for a while. 6'6" guard, another guy that averages right around 17 points per game, almost 5 boards and 2 assists per game. LJ Figueroa, another 6'6" guard, 12.5 points per game, 6 boards. And then Will Richardson, who I think he was coming off of injury, 11 points per game, 3.5 boards, 3.5 assists. As a team, they shot 38% from deep. They're the 23rd best 3-point shooting team in the country. I feel like that's typical of Oregon, though. They always seem to like to hoist it in years past. Not exceptionally. Their lack of size really hurts them because they're the 280th best rebounding team at only 33 rebounds per game and the 106th best at blocks with only 3.5 blocks per game. So, definitely not a defensive team. They won the Pac-12. So, but still ended up with a 7 seed because they're, it's just a weak year for that conference. That's Oregon.
Yeah, I feel like they got pretty hot late in the season. I think that really helped them. They went on a tear there in the Pac-12, but then they lost in the tournament. So Florida Gators are our next 7 seed to talk about, and they went 14-9 in the SEC. Not great. Still garnered a 7 seed. And I believe they're getting Keontae Johnson back, who is their most talented player. And if he's back and playing well, this team could cause some upsets. Trey Mann this year also, their guard, averaged 16 a game, 6 boards and nearly 4 assists, while shooting a pretty high clip, 45% from the field and nearly 40% from the 3-point line. And he's 6'5" guard, sophomore, kind of came into his own this season. They bad losses to Kentucky, a down Kentucky team. Lost to Mississippi State, lost to South Carolina. So they've got some bad losses on their resume. Ended up losing to Tennessee in the conference tournament by 12. And they also lost to Mizzou was a tournament team, but lost to some Arkansas teams that were good. So but a lot of bad losses on that resume. If Keontae Johnson's back and playing, this team is a whole different team. So look for that injury report to come out. If he plays, this seems good. If he doesn't, could be a first-round exit for Florida. So just be on the lookout for injury news on that. But that's for Florida Gators.
Spectacular job, Josh. Next up,
As always.
the Yukon Huskies, a team that has quite a few national championships under their belt, led by sophomore guard James Boo Knight. Is it Book Knight? I want to say Book Knight because there's a K there, but it could just be Knight, like the Dark Knight.
Yeah, I don't know if that's,
he
that's silent.
Yeah, I don't either. We'll say Book Knight. We'll call him the Book. The Bookster averages 19 points a game, though, and a little under six boards and 2 dimes. At 6'5", solid guard play. Their other guard, RJ Cole, 6'1", 12 points, 3 boards, 4 assists, and Tyrese Martin, another guard, 11 points, 7.5 boards, and 1 assist. So guard heavy team. Unlike a lot of the teams in this region, or excuse me, not in this region, the teams that I've covered though so far, they don't have a single player in their rotation, their normal rotation over 6'9". And their 8 guys that they play, nobody's over 6'9". They got a guy, Josh Carlton, who's 6'11", but he plays sparingly. They went 15-7, third in the Big East, 11-6 in conference play. Nothing remarkable. They're the 8th best shot blocking team in the country, and the 55th best, I guess, at holding opponents to a low shooting field goal percentage. Their opponents only shoot around 41% from the floor. So another defensive team. Free throw wise, they shoot 73% from the floor, or from the charity stripe. So they're okay. They're an okay team, but definitely not. Big East was down as well. So, I mean,
But
Georgetown
you got one
won
guy
the.
to line it up. You never know.
That's true. In the tournament, it's all about. A lot of it is about guard play. Yeah, a lot of it is just about guard play, and if they've got a guy who puts up 20 points per game, and who wants the ball in big time moments,
If they can put up 40 in those games, then
boom, they can make a run. I could see UConn making a run if Boo Knight, and then was RJ Cole that kid who, for some reason, I thought RJ Cole was a transfer. I could be completely wrong. Nope, I was right. He went to Howard before. He transferred from Howard. He was
HBCU.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, what happened to that movement of guys going to HBCUs? He left an HBCU, and he was averaging like 22 points per game though. So
yeah,
now things are a little bit tougher in the Big East.
Editor's note from my Florida description: Keontae Johnson collapsed very early in the season, un-COVID related. He is out for the remainder of the season, so he is not back. So Florida might be a first weekend exit. Anyways, on to Clemson. This is a Clemson team that had some pretty big wins early. They beat Purdue early. They beat Alabama early, both out of conference, both marquee wins for that program. Some bad losses. They lost to Miami in the conference tournament. And when you, like I said, if you're pretty cold going into the NCAA tournament, it's not a good recipe. Clemson didn't play the best down the stretch with losses to Syracuse and losses to Miami. Miami loss kind of looms a little bit larger, especially for their seeding purposes. They lost to Duke this year, a down Duke team. But pretty good team, 16-7. Don't really have anybody that's going to really jump off the page for you. Amir Sims averages 13 a game, 6 boards, a nice forward, shoots 54% from the field, and shoots well from the charity stripe. So if your best player can get to the foul line and make them at a good clip, you have a pretty good chance to win. However, I don't know if I trust this Clemson team, especially coming off that Miami loss. It just doesn't sit well with me. So a late in the season loss like that, it's tough sledding.
All right, that's 7 seeds. Moving on to 8. So I got to check the notes. Oklahoma Boomer Sooner is the 8 seed for the Western region, coming in at 15-10 on the regular season. Not good. 9-8 in the lackluster Big 12. Not good. Good enough for 6th. Their top players are Austin Reeves, a little under 18 points per game, 5.5 boards, and almost 5 assists per game. Davion Harmon.
Out of Denton Geyer.
And I was about to say he's
Denton Geyer.
Just
Denton something.
Right down the road. Yeah, no, it was Geyer. 13 points a game, 3.5 boards, 2 dimes, and then another one of those guys from a Big 12 school who I feel like he's been there forever. Brady Manick.
The Larry Bird of Norman.
Yeah, right at 11 points per game, 5 boards, and an assist per game. So he's put on some weight too. He's like 6'9", 235 now. So he's not a little string bean anymore getting thrown around. OU went away from my notes. I was going to say they've got some noteworthy wins. They beat West Virginia twice. They beat Alabama. They beat Texas, and they beat Kansas. So their 10 losses. It's a lot. They've beaten good teams, so they're capable of beating good teams. They're also capable of losing a lot. They do not. This is a very interesting thing. They only give up roughly 14 free throw attempts per game.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
Pretty noteworthy.
So they don't put the opposing team, they don't send them to the free throw line. They also shoot just under 75% from the free throw line themselves.
Not bad.
So when they do get to the line, they make them.
They convert.
44% from the floor shooting as a team. They're not an outstanding shooting team. Brady Manick can stretch the floor. They do want to shoot a lot of threes.
Yep.
But yeah,
Austin Reeves, I like him.
Austin Reeves likes to hoist it up a lot. They're solid. They, like I said, they can beat an Alabama, and they can just as easily lose to Missouri, who they're playing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that take. I feel like they started off the season slow, but they had a stretch in like December into January where they just beat like 5 in a row, like top 15 teams.
Yeah. No, they got hot for a little bit.
Yep. That brings us to the North Carolina Tar Heels, a down year for the Tar Heels, getting an 8 seed. They're used to being a top 2 seed. But here we are in March. They're an 8 seed. There was a lot of part of the season where I didn't think they were going to get into the tournament at all. So just the fact that they're here means that they turned it around. And I'll tell you what, their big men are problems for teams. They have 4 guys over 6'10", 3 of them getting a lot of minutes. Armando Backett is 6'10", averages 13 a game, 8 boards, shoots 62% from the field. He's tough to deal with. And then if you take him out of the game, then you got to deal with Garrison Brooks, who is also 6'10", averages 10 points a game. And if you take him out of the game, then you got to deal with Day'Ron Sharp, who is 6'11", and averages almost 9 points a game. So they've got a lot of big guys that teams aren't going to be used to being banging down low with. Now they draw a Wisconsin team that unfortunately is used to dealing with big men in that Big Ten. They didn't really handle them that well, so that'll be an interesting matchup when we get to the picks here in a little bit. But I really like this North Carolina team, how they kind of came on here towards the end of the season, and if they can just get the ball down low and get some teams into foul trouble early and get free throw stripe early, they could cause some problems. Now, they only shot 67% from the free throw stripe as a team this year. So they're going to have to shore that up if they're going to go anywhere in the tournament. But if they can somehow figure out how to make it from the free throw line, look out. This could be an 8 seed that can cause some problems for Wisconsin and then Baylor as well.
Well, we've got a comment right here that LSU has to utilize number 4, Darius Days, more often in offense to compete in this tournament. Well, guess what? It is now time to talk about the Bayou Bengals of LSU. So great point. LSU has, in the last couple of years, actually become a decent basketball program. Last year, they went 21-10. Which they were building off of that. My computer froze. I got all my notes right here. Okay. Yeah. This year, 18-9, good enough for 3rd in the SEC after going 11-6. They're taking on the Bonnies, St. Bonaventure. Cameron Thomas led the way in scoring for them, the Oak Hill Academy product, with damn near 23 points per game, man. 22.6 points. That's pretty much all he did. 3 boards, assist and a half. The guy shot the ball, though. He hoisted it up, shooting 7 3-pointers per game. Not at a great clip, 32%, but 7 of them. That's a lot. Javonte Smart shooting 47% from the floor, averaging 16 points per game, 4 boards, 4 assists, and right under 4 boards. And then Trendon Watford, almost 17 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and then Darius Davis, right at a little under 12 points per game and 8 boards. So they've got size. They've got. I feel like that's typical for an LSU team. Just being big. Their guards are big. Cameron Thomas is a 6'4" guard. Watford 6'9". Darius Davis is 6'7", 250. So, and all those players that I mentioned were all ESPN top 60 prospects. So
Watford's a stud.
Yeah, and they're the 8th highest scoring team in the country, averaging 82 points per game. So LSU knows how to score the basketball, shooting right under 75% from the free throw line. You love to see that. So in spite of the fact of being an 8 seed, I think LSU could, scare some teams.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's go to the Loyola of Chicago Ramblers. Now, this team is interesting. They were ranked number 9 overall on the KenPom ratings. The KenPom ratings have them as the number 1 defense. This should scare some people. They're known for the past few years to make runs in the tournament. We've got Sister Jean.
Team? I was about to say, was that the team?
Sister Jean on their side.
I've got a little beef with Sister Jean real quick, okay? Nobody remembers anyone on, and I said this at the time. I said this like years ago when that was going on. I said the problem. Exactly. I said the problem with this old lady is no one is going to remember a single player on this team in years to come. No one's going to remember any moment that the team had. No big shot, no big defensive stop, nothing. No, there is no moment for St. Bonaventure's, not St. Bonaventure, for Loyola Chicago's incredible run from years ago, all because everyone decided to fixate on some old lady who showed up to their games a lot.
Yep. Well, in this COVID environment, she won't show up this year. So
there's not going to be a chance for Sister Jean to blow things for these young boys.
She is in the older generation, so she might be vaccinated.
It is a Catholic
school.
The whole Sister Jean thing got me thinking.
Fired up.
Anyway, there's a lot wrong with this school.
Yeah. Well, if there's going to be a name you remember from this tournament, if they go deep, it's going to be Cameron Krutwig. He is their center, 6'9" center, so doesn't match up well with North Carolina maybe. But yeah, Cameron Krutwig, 15 points a game, 7 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1.5 blocks. Kind of does everything. Shoots 58% from the field. Just efficient. This team is just efficient. I said they were the number 1 rated defensive team in the entire country. They also shoot 50% from the field.
I bet that's top 10.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, the KenPom ratings are rated 44th, but I would say 50% as a team from the field is going to get you in the top 10 in terms of field goal percentage. And they shoot 72% from the free throw stripe. So they convert from the free throw stripe, 40% from the 3-point line. Just a solid team. They've been here before. I assume a lot of their guys were probably on those teams the past few years. So they've been in the tournament. They know tournament success. I'm not betting against Loyola to at least get to out of the first weekend. Now they're going to have to play Illinois in the second round if they get through, and I don't think they can match up with Coffee Coburn. But they're at least, I think they're going to get out of the first round. This is a solid team, the best defensive team in the country, and there's something to say about that.
According to KenPom. All right. Next up, we've got the 9 seeds. We've got Mizzou. Those, they might not be able to read, but those guys sure can play some basketball up in Missouri. They're the 9 seed coming out of the SEC, former Big 12 team back in the day. Went 8-8 in the powerful SEC conference. Good enough for 7th. I think that's garbage. 16-9 on the year. Their top 3 players are, well, 2 of them are guards. Small guards. Xavier Pinson is a 6'2 guard, averaging 14 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. Drew Smith, 6'3, 14 points, 3.5 boards, 4 assists. And then Jeremiah Tillman is a 6'10 forward center, 12.5 points, 7 boards per game, 1 assist. Not going to just shoot the lights out of the gym. A bad free throw shooting team, under 70% from the line. They get to the line quite a bit. The shooting almost 22 free throw attempts per game. They just, don't make all of them. And this is going to be kind of wild. Points per game, their point differential average per game was less than 2. So this is another team that played games really close. They played everybody close. They averaged 73.6 points per game. They gave up 71.9. So 1.7 points, literally a basket a game separates them from a win or loss. Noteworthy wins though. Okay. They've got a bunch. All right. They beat Illinois. Okay. They beat Wichita. That is Wichita State. One of those teams playing in that game. They beat Liberty. Don't sleep on Liberty this year.
Yep.
And Oregon. So they beat the Pac-12. They beat the Pac-12 champ. So
beat some tournament teams.
Noteworthy, and I thought that this was noteworthy though of just putting in. It's an 8-9 game. The 8-9s are always toss up. You gotta, they're playing against Oklahoma. So just keep this in mind. They've lost 6 of their last 9 games.
Oh, you lost 6 of the last 9?
No, Missouri has lost. Missouri has lost 6 of their last 9 going into the tournament.
That's tough sledding.
So, yeah, they are coming in limping definitely into this thing. And that's Mizzou.
Yeah. One note on Mizzou: Xavier Pinson, brother is a noteworthy name. Theo Pinson of the North Carolina Tar Heels of years past, and now New York Knicks G League player. So got a little good bloodline in there. Theo was a good college basketball player.
Very much so.
Moving on to my 9 seed, the Wisconsin Badgers, another team in the Ken Pom ratings that are way better in the ratings than they are in their own seeding. They're a 9 seed in the tournament, and they're a 10 rating in the Ken Pom rating, which makes you think, how did they get here? Well, I'll tell you. They have lost 7 of their last 10 games. All were pretty good teams. They lost to Illinois, Michigan, Iowa, Illinois again, Purdue, Iowa, and Iowa. So they just all year seemed like they just could not beat good teams. They could beat the bad teams. Really only bad losses to Marquette. They lost to Maryland, who was a 10-season tournament. And they beat everybody else they were supposed to, but they just couldn't beat good teams this year. And that worries me. They beat Rutgers and they beat Minnesota. That's pretty much it on good teams, if you call them good teams. So that would worry me. They've got a really good guard in Demetric Trice, who can light it up if given the chance. So, if he catches fire, this team is a lot better. But if he is just 13 points a game on average, I don't expect this team to go very far. They have Brad Davidson, who is just not playing well this season. He was supposed to be their top player coming back. He has shot 32% from the field as a guard. That is not good. So if he can figure it out tournament time, which he's done before in years past, where he's been good, if he can figure it out, this team could be a little bit dangerous. But if he continues like he's played all year long and getting 30 and a half minutes per game and only shooting 33%, this team is going to probably be well on their way out of the tournament in the first weekend and maybe in their first game. They have a big man in Micah Potter, who's 6'10", but he's only 250 pounds, and they're going to have to face UConn, and that is not going to be a good matchup. UNC is not going to be a good matchup. So not big on the Wisconsin team. If they can start to figure it out from the field, they're dangerous, but they haven't done anything for me all year long to show me they're going to do that.
The next 9 seed is St. Bonaventure for
The
the
Bonnies.
longest. Yeah, for the longest time, I thought that was just like a nickname that not their actual team name. I thought that was just like a nickname that you call the Bonnies because the Notre Dame Noters, stuff like that. But
Do they actually call them the Notre Dame Noters?
no, not at all. Eddie Iacono used to do it though, and it was hilarious. But
I like it.
no, the Bonnies is their name. They did pretty well. 16-4, 11-4. They won the Atlantic 10, the A10. So big deal there. A10's mid-major, close to a major conference. It's not a Power 5 conference, obviously, but it's a good conference to play in.
Yep,
They are
strong.
They are upperclassmen loaded, which is what you got to love. All juniors, and they don't have a single freshman that plays. They have one sophomore that plays, if that gives you an idea. Everyone else is a junior. Literally,
I like that.
They do not have a single senior on their team. They're going to return everyone next year. As you can probably guess, though, with the mid-major school, lots of guards, not a whole lot of bigs. They've got one big, a 6'10", 220-pound kid, Osenyi, he's a walking double-double, 11 points, almost 10 boards a game. Kyle Lofton, their guard, averages 14, and he's 6'3". Their point guard, almost 15 a game, 3.5 boards, 5.5 assists. As a team, so they've got guards. They've got one big, but they're just lots of guards. They've got 5 guys that average double figures. However, they only score 70 points per game, which is not that great. It's 199th best scoring team in the country, but defensively they only give up 60.4 points per game. They are the 5th best defensive team as far as points allowed, and they do this by they just don't give up a lot of shots. They have just an interesting fact. They've given up the 6th fewest amount of 2-point field goals in the country, so they just don't let you score inside of the paint. They are holding opponents to under 39% from the floor.
Wow.
So just a solid defensive team for St. Bonaventure. They don't shoot. They shoot about 73% from the charity stripe, 35% from deep. They're just an average offensive team, but they don't turn the ball over a whole lot. They, score okay, 70 points per game. The thing is their defense, though. They hold teams to 60 points a game. That's huge. Will they be able to do that against, bigger teams? Will they be able to do that against LSU? I don't know.
I like the Bonnies. I do like the Bonnies. I think they play great defense. We're going to go with Georgia.
I'm waiting on my Biden Bucks.
Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, the winners of the ACC tournament. And they have the reigning conference player of the year in Moses Wright, who averaged 17.5 points a game, 8 boards, shot 53% from the field, and 41% from the three-point line. So just a 6'9" forward senior that does it all for them. And like I said, if you've got one guy that can take it for you, you're dangerous. And Georgia Tech has 2 guys averaging over 15 points. 2 guards, and Jose Alvarado and Michael DeVoy.
Yeah, and Alvarado came. Alvarado was hurt for a lot of the year. And he's back, so he was solid in the. I don't know if you watched that ACC tournament at all. I
watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, he was solid. Fortunately, COVID beat Virginia, so Georgia Tech
Makes
got
it a little bit easier.
It is. It's a nice, easy road when COVID's beating teams for you. But yeah, that's
Georgia Tech caught fire here in the end of the season, and Jose Alvarado's got a lot to do with that. They beat Syracuse, Wake Forest, they beat Florida State. They're facing a good Loyola, Illinois team, Loyola Chicago. But yeah, with Jose Alvarado, I think there's going to be a lot of money being poured in on Loyola Chicago, and I don't think they're putting in the fact that Alvarado is back and healthy. So if he can get in there and he can get keep putting up 15 a game, this team is going to be awfully dangerous. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row to lead into the tournament. Scary team.
Indeed. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to pick them to beat Loyola for sure. At least, in mine. I don't know. Next are
I
the
think
10
we'll probably get to our picks tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna
finish
say,
up our
can we
breakdown.
can we do that tomorrow? Do you think?
Yeah,
Can we-
yeah. I think that's a great idea.
God, I love it. What a great that gives us time to sleep on it
Yeah.
and really get. Thank God, I was nervous. I was nervous about having to do this all right now.
Yeah.
10 first number 10 seed is VCU. But I got Virginia Commonwealth. Shaka Smart's old stomping grounds. Virginia Commonwealth, 19-7 on the year, second in the A10, finishing behind who did I say? St. Bonaventure. Yeah, the Bonnies. They are led by two main players, two guards. Nashawn Highland. Okay, remember that name. I think he's going to be a big time player in the tournament, averaging almost 20 points per game this year. For these small schools, you've got to look to these guys to, put up 30, 35 points per game to give yourselves a chance. Just under 5 boards and 2 assists per game. And then their other solid guard is Vince Williams, 6'6" guard, just under 11 points per game, 5 boards and 2.5 assists. So, those two guys are the team. It's if you're the opponent, you shut down those two guys, it's money in the bank. If those guys go off, they give themselves a chance. As a team, they hold opponents to 40%, a little under 41% from the floor. So they're a solid defensive team. They are the 6th best team as far as steals per game with 9.2 and the 5th best at blocks at 5.4. So on the defensive side of the ball, they are outstanding. And defense travels. You're having a bad shooting night. That's fine. You are capable of having a great defensive night every single night. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I don't have any noteworthy ones or anything for that form, but they're solid. I think the A10 is a very solid conference. The problem is they're just not very big, and they rely heavily on their number one scorer, Nashawn. Highland.
Yep. Highland. Remember the name Highland. All right. Well, that leads us to the Virginia Tech Hokies, my 10 seed here. Virginia Tech, they were sneaky good this year in the ACC, 15-6, led by Keve Iluma, their power forward, averaging 16 a game, 8 boards, 49% from the field, 73% from the free throw stripe. So he's able to convert. When your big man is able to convert, you're just a lot better. So they've got him. They've got Tyrese Radford at 12 game, and they've got Nalem Elaine. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. I'm not going to give it a better attempt than that. They lost to North Carolina in the tournament, but and they lost to Georgia Tech earlier in the year in February. So as of late, they lost to two pretty good teams that also caught fire down the stretch. So I think Virginia Tech, they're good, and I think they are. They beat a Villanova team early in the season in non-conference play when Nova was number 3. They still had Connor Gillespie. They beat Clemson. So they have some good wins on their schedule. They beat Virginia. A lot of canceled games, but yeah, Virginia Tech's a good solid squad. They had a lot of games get canceled or postponed due to COVID, but some good wins on their resume.
But Buzz is still their coach, right?
Buzz is not still their coach. Buzz is at A&M now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and A&M was the worst team in the SEC. So I don't know if Buzz just wanted to come back to Texas because he's from Van Alstyne. But should have stayed at Virginia Tech. But Virginia Tech can rebound the ball. Their top 2 scorers also average over 6 rebounds a game. A little bit turnover happy with almost 12 a game, but they shoot well from the field, 45%. They shoot decently for the 3-point line, and they shoot a nice 69% from the free throw line. Could be better, but their big man can shoot free throws. So it's your Virginia Tech Hokies.
That's key. Yeah. Big men hitting free throws is key. Maryland has no big men. The Terrapins boast one of the shortest lineups in the tournament. I guess their tallest starters, not even a starter. Their tallest, rotation guy is a 6'9" forward. The thing is, though, they don't have any freshmen that play. They have all upperclassmen that play. 2 juniors, 2 sophomores, and a senior make up their main core 5. Aaron Wiggins, 14 points, 6 boards, 2.5 assists. He's a 6'6" guard. Their other guard, Eric Ayala, 14.9, 4 boards and 2 assists per game. 6'7" forward, Donta Scott. Just not a whole lot of size for Maryland. They weren't very good at all. 16-13 in the regular season, 9-11 in the Big Ten. Yeah, so not good.
Yeah, pretty inconsistent.
68.8 points per game, good for 244th scoring in the country. Bad. Nothing about this Maryland team is good. I would not be surprised if they get stomped, not just lose to UConn, but get stomped on. To answer that question earlier from Alex, can the Maryland Terps upset the Huskies? Yeah, anything's possible. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, not this Maryland team. They've had some pretty decent teams in the past, but this team definitely seemed like it was down and not going to go deep in the tournament.
Yeah, that's Maryland, though. Another Big Ten school.
Let's go to another Big Ten school.
The absolutely loaded Big Ten.
Yep, Rutgers Scarlet Knights out of New Jersey.
You want to answer Alex's question, Josh?
What was his question? I actually do like this Rutgers team. They're pretty deep. They went 15-11, but they've got some good team wins. They've got 2 guys averaging over 14 points a game, 3 guys in double digits, a couple more guys scoring 8 points a game. They rebound well. They shoot, decently. I think what's going to kill them is they don't shoot the 3 very well, but they do have Ron Harper Jr. That name should sound familiar.
Did Ron Harper Jr. It does sound
the son
familiar.
Of Ron Harper.
Yeah. He won some titles.
Former NBAer.
Yeah. Former Miami of Ohio great.
Yep. He is their best player. He averages 15 points a game, 6 boards, assists and a half, and shoots 46% from the field.
Is he like 6'7" too?
He's 6'6", 245.
Yeah, I was like, he's
a pretty thick dude.
Yeah, his dad was like 6'6", just long too. Like his dad was a big guard.
Yep. Yeah. So if they've got a couple big men that rebound the ball pretty well. One averages almost 9 rebounds a game, along with Ron Harper Jr. averaging 6 a game. Like I said, they had some good wins on their resume. They beat Purdue this year. They hung in there. They lost by 2 to Iowa. They lost by 10 to Ohio State. That game was close. They lost to Wisconsin by 6. But they had some bad losses as well down the stretch here. They lost to Nebraska towards the end of the season, and Nebraska is not good. They lost to Michigan State by a lot earlier in the season by 23. They beat Illinois, though, earlier in the season by 3. So, again, early season wins, less impressive than late season wins. And they lost 5 in a row at one point in the middle of the season. So that's never good. But this team could surprise people. They did get waxed by Illinois in the conference tournament, but this team could be okay, and they might win a couple games and surprise you. At least make it through the round of 64, and then we'll see where they're at.
Wow! So,
but we'll get that to tomorrow. I think they can beat Clemson.
I do too, honestly. I don't think Clemson's a very good team.
And then I think they could beat Houston. So,
man, did they get lucky or what? As far as
they've got a
right?
pretty easy path to the Sweet 16. Not easy, but a doable path. I think if a 10 seed is going to make it to the Sweet 16, it could be Rutgers with Clemson and Houston standing in their way. So,
yeah, they've got
good question
to do it. They've got the team to do it. All right,
Yep.
we're on 11. We are just flying through it now. We've hit
Powering
our
through.
stride. Yeah. Number 11 for the West is the winner of the Drake versus Wichita State game. So I didn't have to do it. I guess we just got to wait for the winner of Drake and Wichita State, huh?
That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice.
Yep.
Are you going to make any picks on that one while we're here?
I'm going to say Wichita State.
I'm going to say Wichita State as well. Okay, that leads us to my 11 seed, Utah State. The Aggies. So sorry, Taylor, who asked about Texas A&M. There's only one Aggie in this tournament, and it's the Utah State Aggies. Pretty solid season by them. 20-8. They beat a good team in their conference, San Diego State, twice. So that is pretty helpful. They got second in what conference are they in? The Mountain West. They draw a Texas Tech team that'll be a difficult matchup for them, but they've got my computer froze up. Let me pull up the stats again. They have their center, Namis Queta, averaging 15 and 10. So he's a walking double-double. He's 7 feet tall from Portugal, 245 pounds, averages almost 3 assists and 55% from the field. So if he's on and he's putting, people into foul trouble, he shoots 71% from the free throw line. So if he gets to the line, he got a big day. He averages 3 blocks a game. So if you're going to bet Utah State, you're betting he's going to have a big game. Justin Bean averages 11 points and 7.5 rebounds, and Marco Anthony, a guard, averages 10 and 5. So this team can rebound. This team is going to go get boards at nearly 41 a game. So if they can get second chances, that's the name of the game, as we said earlier. So we'll see what they can do. But I really like this Utah State team. I think they can beat a 6 seed. I don't know if they can beat Texas Tech because they've got a little bit more depth and size. But if Queta has a big game and is a true nemesis in the paint, they could do some things.
I believe that. I got another one. I've got the winner of Michigan State versus UCLA. I'm glad I picked these, but Alex again is asking for a little bit of insight into Michigan State. So for the sake of, we will do you that kindness and do exactly what the fans want, which is tell you a little bit about Michigan State. Michigan State finished with the exact same conference record as Maryland.
Michigan State Spartans presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Excuse me. The number one thing that we need to talk about Michigan State is that they sold their naming rights, and now they are Michigan State Spartans presented by Rocket Mortgage. So the Michigan State Spartans presented by Rocket Mortgage, 15 and 12 on the regular season. They only had one guy average in double figures. The thing is, they're playing UCLA, and UCLA is in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 was garbage. And so I see I'm taking Michigan State from the exceptionally good Big Ten conference to beat the weak UCLA Bruins in the 11.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about Michigan State as I see them play a lot. They gave Purdue run for their money a couple of times. Joshua Langford, a good guard. Joey Hauser, a name to watch, averaging 10 points and 6 boards. Really, they're a pretty strong team, as Tom Izzo's teams typically are. I think it goes to reason to always look out for Tom Izzo teams in March. They're always, even if they had a bad regular season, they always come up big. Aaron Henry is a really lanky forward for him, averaging 16 points nearly and 6 boards. If this team, it kind of goes with a lot of it. If this team can find a way to hit from the 3-point line and limit second chances, this team could do some damage coming in from a playing game. If they wax UCLA, they come in hot. I think they could do a little bit of damage. But we'll just have to see if they get past UCLA. We'll really go diving deep tomorrow on them. But
Yeah. No, I mean,
but coming out of the Big Ten, it's tough. So
tied for 8th in the exceptionally good Big Ten. I just realized I'm going to have to clip every single team we do tonight, and it's going to be awesome.
yeah, not a lot of sleep.
No rest for the wicked. The next 11 seed is the last 11 seed, and it is yours, Syracuse.
Syracuse Orange. I know you have a little bit to say about this as well. I'll go ahead and mention what everybody is wanting to talk about. Buddy Boeheim, the son of legendary coach Jim Boeheim.
Not nepotism, it turns out. He's actually a baller.
He actually good, averaging 17 points a game. Lights it up from three-point land, shooting almost 38%. They've got a couple guys who can put the ball in the basket. Him, Alan Griffin, Quincy Guerrero, averaging 14 and a half a game and 9 boards. As your typical Syracuse team, they're all about 6'7", very long arms. They're all about deflections.
Hands in the passing lane. They play that matchup 2-3 zone.
Yep. So it's going to be a different look as always when you watch Syracuse play. If you don't watch them,
it's like an option team. They're like an option team.
Yeah, like your Navies or your Georgia Techs in football. That it's just different. They do have a tendency to lose versus not great teams. They lost to Pitt twice this year, and Pitt was way down. And they also lost to a bad Duke team by 14. So it wasn't even close. But they won. They beat North Carolina. They beat Clemson. They beat NC State to round out the season before they went down to Virginia and lost by 3. So they're coming in on a kind of high there. And if Buddy Boeheim, if he can catch fire, look out.
Watch out, indeed. All right, that's the 11s. The next. So you know me, Josh. I'm a huge fan of mascots. I'm a huge fan of random names.
Yep.
So
and you know all of them.
Obviously, I was beyond excited when I realized that I get to talk about the Gauchos of University of California, Santa Barbara.
Mascot.
So the Gauchos, UCSB.
Yep.
Fun fact for trivia night at the bar. Fun fact for the trivia night.
Garrett is there on trivia night, and it's mascots. You might as well go home.
You're done. It's over. Know them all. But UC Santa Barbara went 22-4 this year. Solid. 15-3 in the Big West to take it home. Good job. Big West, not a great conference. Barely okay. Very guard-led. Ja'Cory McLaughlin averaged 16 points per game. He's a 6'4" guard, 16 points, 3.5 rebounds, 5 dimes per game. Amadou Sow, 6'9" forward, averages a little under 14 points and 7.5 boards, a block per game and steal per game. So he is their defensive stopper. And then Ajari Sani, 6'3" guard, 11.2 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, almost 2 assists per game. As a team, they shot 48.5% from the floor. So they're a top 20 just shooting team. Offensively, they shoot 75% from the free throw line and average 16.5 assists per game, which is good for 23rd in the country. So offensively, they're solid. Their average margin of victory is 14. So they were beating the pants off of everyone in their conference. The problem with that oftentimes is you don't know what they're going to do when it comes to close games. You don't know how they're going to be able to handle when they finally play a good team, how they're able to handle it, so that's UC Santa Barbara. They just an offensive team, and they hold opponents to 62 points per game. And you can either chalk that up to a good effort or just poor opponents.
Yep. Yeah, so the next team on the list is the Winthrop Eagles. And if you've watched this show in its early days, you've heard Val talk about this team as a easy win if you're betting. I I like this team. They only lost one game all season, 23-1, first in the Big South, and none of their games were relatively close. Only loss coming to UNC Asheville in conference. After that, they really just beat the brakes off of teams. Averaged 80 points per game, only giving up 67 per game. 13-point differential. They board the ball really well at 40 rebounds a game. That's good for 18th in the country. Just a team that knows how to win, and a team goes 23-1. I know there's a lot of money coming in for them to beat a Villanova team that's sans Connor Gillespie. We've talked about that, and for good reason. This team has 4 guys in double-digit scoring. Like I said, they rebound the ball well. Their best player is a nearly walking triple-double in Chandler Vaudrin. Remember that name. He's averaging 12, 7, and 7 this year with 1 steal, shooting 48% from the field.
Clearly their best player.
But they're a pretty deep team in terms of scoring. This guy is the straw that stirs the drink, however. And I'd watch out for them. The only thing that scares me is that they are going to be the sexy pick to win that 12-5 matchup. And when everybody gets on board with one team, 1-12 seed, it always goes the other way. But
it's usually always another 12 seed that ends up doing it.
Yeah. I think this is probably the team to do it. If logic factors in at all, this team could make a good run and at least get to the round of 32 and then see where the chips fall. I really like this 12 seed, probably my favorite 12 seed. You're probably going to hear that from a lot of people though that you talk to. 23-1 is no joke. So
this goes like I don't know what it is about the 12 seeds, man. Wait, who was that? Sorry, I didn't even.
That was Winthrop. That was Winthrop.
I was about to say. Between Winthrop and then I have Georgetown. So
Patrick Ewing's Georgetown.
I bet you're wondering how in the world a 13-12 team could have gotten a 12 seed, right? Same. No idea how in the world Georgetown got a 12 seed, but they did. We're here. They won the Big East tournament. So they get the automatic qualifying bid. Nothing you can do about it. So Georgetown, though, led by Patrick Ewing. They've got 3 solid players that they really run through. Their guard, Javon Blair, 6'4" guard, averages just under 16 points a game, a little over 3.5 rebounds and 3.5 assists per game. Qudus Wahab. Obviously, this guy is a giant center, 6'11", just with a name like Qudus Wahab. You can pretty much just bank on it being a big guy. 12.5 points per game, 8 boards, and 1.5 blocks per game. So he is a force in the paint. And then Jamorko Pickett, 6'9" forward, 12.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 2 assists. So typical with the Georgetown team, they're gigantic. They've got big bodies. They're playing against a Colorado team that isn't gigantic. So I think that this is going to be a very interesting. You go back to the sexy 12-5 picks. You've got a power conference school here with big guys in a matchup with a team that doesn't have a whole lot of bigs. So it'll be extremely interesting to see what happens with this team that went 13-12 and really obviously found their stride at the end of the year. They won 4 in a row in the Big East tournament to make it to the dance. It was a winner go home situation the entire time, and they constantly kept winning. So they know what it's like to play with their backs against the wall. It's the only way they know how to play, essentially at this point. Rebound
team like that.
Exactly. They're the 13th best rebounding team. They shoot 75% from the floor, or 75% from the free throw line. So to me, that's like, they rebound, they hit their free throws. They're big. And then they've got a guard who can get buckets. You know what I mean? That is a recipe for a dangerous tournament run, depending on your matchups and stuff like that. And I think Colorado's a really, really good matchup for Georgetown.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, well, going from one team that knows how to play with their backs against the wall, let's talk about another team that knows how to play with their backs against the wall. The Oregon State Beavers going into the Pac-12 tournament, they were 14-12. We're not looking at a conference or a tournament bid. However, they ran through UCLA. They beat Oregon by 11.
Tournament
and
team.
They beat Colorado
Tournament team.
by 2 to win the Pac-12 title, their first ever Pac-12 title. A lot of bad losses on their resume, especially early season. Washington State, Wyoming, and Portland, and Stanford, and Arizona. A lot of non-tournament teams early on. But they coming in as the Pac-12 title tournament champions. They have a guy in Ethan Thompson. They're very guard-based. A guy in Ethan Thompson averaging 15 a game on 40% shooting. They shoot the ball not well, but they shoot from the free throw stripe decently at a 76% clip. They don't rebound the ball especially well. I don't love this team, but they're hot coming into the tournament. They know how to play with their backs against the wall, just like Georgetown, and survive in advance. And they've been doing that so far, 3 games in a row. So if you want to take a deep sleeper, you're probably either looking at Georgetown or Oregon State, just because they're hot, and there's something to be said about that.
It's all about catching fire at the right time. It's all about catching fire at the right time.
Yep.
You know this. I know this. We all know this. 13s. We're almost done now. The 13 seed that I got, Ohio, 4th place in the MAC conference. They won the MAC tournament. That's how they got here. 16-7 on the year, 9-5 in conference. Nothing outstanding at all. Their top players, though, Jason Preston. Have you seen any of his highlights? Him play at all? 6'4" guard. Okay. He's a 6'4" guard, averaging just under 17 a game, almost 7 boards, and over 7 assists a game.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. The guy's a
name
stud.
to be remembered.
Yes. Jason Preston is going to carry this team on his back. The rest of the team, they've got 5 players total that score more than 10 points per game. So they've got a bunch of guys that can put the ball in the bucket. Dwight Wilson, a 6'8" forward, averages 15 and 7.5. Ben Vanderplas, 6'8" forward, 12.8 points, 5.5 rebounds, and almost 4 assists per game. So this is a guy that can distribute the ball too. They've got 2 guys that can move the ball around. He's just 6'8". Offensively, they shoot 49% from the floor. They're a top 20 shooting percentage team, a top 20 scoring team, averaging 81 points per game. From 2, okay, so I found this interesting. From inside the 3-point line, they shoot 57% from the floor, 15th best in the country. So they get the ball close to the bucket and they put it in. They convert. They won the MAC conference, and I think Ohio, they're just an extremely good offensive team, and they've got a ton of weapons that can score. I would be very scared if I were the 4 seed having to play them this year.
Yeah, I've seen them as a sexy pick to win their first round matchup. So we will see on that note. I'm not sure who that 4 seed is that they play.
I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember, but it'll come up.
Yep. But that'll bring on to
Virginia.
North Texas.
Oh gosh, they played Virginia.
Yeah. Pretty good matchup for them.
Yeah, I see Ohio winning that. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So that'll bring North Texas Mean Green to the picture out of Denton, Texas. They went 17-9. They were the number 3 seed in the Conference USA tournament, and they won it. And now they're in the tournament. They probably don't get in without winning the tournament. So another team back against the wall. They won an overtime game versus Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers topped those Hills, won 61-57 to advance to the tournament. Early on in the season, they played some good teams tough. They lost to Arkansas by 5. They lost to West Virginia by 12. So they can hang tough. They lost to Loyola Chicago by 8. So they know how to. They played some good teams. They played some tournament teams. So this isn't going to be their first look at tournament teams. It's not going to be shell shocked. And they're led by a 6'5" Davion Hamlet, averaging 15 points per game, 3 rebounds, 4.5 assists. He doesn't shoot the ball particularly well, only 43%, but he shoots free throws at a very high clip at 87.5%, and he shoots 36% from the three, so just about average. They do have a little bit of size. Their first round matchup is going to be Purdue, and they have Purdue's got size, but they have Zachary Simmons out of Abilene, Texas. He's a senior, 6'10", 239 pounds. Doesn't have a ton of weight, but he does at least have length. This team is very senior oriented. Their top four scorers, all seniors, all over 6'4". So you got to look out for those teams that have those seniors on their side, those veteran players. They've got 4 guys in double digits, with Hamlet leading the way at 15, the rest of them at around 10. They don't rebound the ball particularly well. Their assist to turnover ratio is 1, but they get 7 steals per game, which is pretty solid, along with 3 blocks. So, I mean, if they can cause turnovers, they're linked to cause some problems. Like I said, they know how to play good teams. They haven't beat a lot of good teams, but they know how to play them. They've been in close games with them. So they're at least a decent 13 seed. I don't know if they make it out of the first round. I may be biased, but they're at least. I think they might give Purdue a scare at least in the first half. So that was your mean green. I thought Garrett was staring at me intently. It turned out he was just frozen.
My bad.
That's all right. So I just wrapped up North Texas.
Went away. Anyway, that was North Texas. Perfect timing, huh?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
I
don't know why
you were
it's clearly fine, but it's just it's a little slow right now, I guess. Yeah. So next though is UNC Greensboro. The Spartans won the Southern Conference. Not exactly a powerhouse of a conference. They, one of the few teams to both win their conference and win the conference tournament. The Southern Conference is definitely one of those conferences where it doesn't matter if you win your conference in the regular season, like at all.
Yep.
Because
got to win the tournament.
Garbage conference. They are a one-man show. You want to talk about a team that, first of all, they play Florida State, probably going to get absolutely smashed. Isaiah Miller is a 6-foot guard, a senior, averages almost 20 points per game, like 19, 7, and 4. 6-foot guard. So, he fights, obviously, for rebounds. They are upperclassmen led. 4 of their starters are juniors and senior, like junior or senior. Worthy of noting, they have 1 7-footer from Prosper, Texas.
Wow.
Kid named Hayden Koval. He's 7'1" from Prosper. He attended, though, some prep school called Link Year Prep High School, which it's interesting to note. They have 5 players on their team that all went to Link Year Prep.
Wow.
High school.
Wow.
So, very interesting, I thought.
Yeah.
To have 5 players, all from the same school.
Just a feeder school.
Pretty much. Or maybe it's one of those, they stash them away. Offensively, they shoot the ball the 5th most in the country, shooting it, a little over 65 shot attempts per game.
Wow.
So
get a lot of shots up.
Yeah. No, me too. Yeah, that's UNC Green. Just not a big team at all.
Yep. Well, that'll lead us to the Liberty Flames. Liberty had a good season. They went 23-5. They won the Atlantic Sun, both in regular season and in the tournament. Atlantic Sun not bearing a lot of good teams. Formerly good team, Florida Gulf Coast, not good anymore. But they've come into the tournament winning 12 in a row. They played a couple good teams early season in Purdue, which they've lost first game of the season. And then they've lost to TCU as well. And they've lost to Missouri, but only by 9 to Missouri and 4 to TCU. So they hung close with some bigger conference teams. They average 75 points a game. They only allow 60 points a game, though. So they play good defense. They're led by Darius McGee. Now, Darius McGee could be a name to remember. He averages 16 points a game, 4 boards, 2 assists. He averages 41% from the three-point line. So if he catches fire, you don't want this guy to get open. Don't give him any breathing room because he'll hoist it up. And he could lead to an upset if he can just catch fire and Jimmer Fredette it. I don't think this team has what it takes to beat Oklahoma State, especially since McGee is point guard. His height is not listed, but I don't think he's 6'8", and Cade Cunningham might swallow him up. But I'd be on the lookout. If he can just catch fire and he can consistently get open for 3, he's going to hoist him up and he's going to get his. And if he's making it, could be a 13 seed upset of the 4 seed Oklahoma State. I know I'm pretty smitten by Oklahoma State, but
is that just
like
because you're a fan of Cade Cunningham?
It is, yeah. But I like Avery Anderson. I think they got
Yeah.
a couple of good big men. So, but Liberty Flames, decent team, has one guy that'll light you up, and if you let him get open, he might take you the distance. So,
which brings us to the 14s. We're almost done, man. Eastern Washington, 16-7, 12-3, finished second in the Big Sky. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of Big Sky teams in the bracket. They're surprisingly a pretty lengthy team for being a mid-major or being a small conference team. Tanner Groves, 6'9" forward, averaging 16.5 points, 8 boards. He's the straw that stirs the drink for them. Kim Aiken is a 6'7" guard, averaged just under 12 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. And then Tyler Robertson is a 6'6" guard, 11.5 points, 3.5 boards, 3 assists per game. As a team, they shoot almost 79% from the free throw line. They are the 9th best free throw shooting team in the country. I thought that was pretty much their only stat worthy of note. Everything, they shoot 46.5, a little better than 46.5% from the floor. They average 78 points per game. So those are all good, but when it counts, they hit free throws. And they won their,
there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, it's another team that, they had to win their conference in order to make it to the dance. So that's Eastern Washington for you real quick, nice and easy.
Yeah. That'll bring me to the Colgate. We're on the 14 seeds, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Colgate Raiders. Didn't play a lot of games this season. I don't think they've played out of conference games in the Patriot League this year, but they went 14-1, so they ran the table. Interesting note on the Colgate Raiders, scored the 3rd most points per game this season at 86.5 points per game.
Wow.
Yeah, and they had the 8th most assists per game, as well as the 26th most rebounds per game. They play at a very frenetic pace. They get a lot of easy buckets. They create a lot of turnovers. They average 7 steals a game, 3.5 blocks. They're a solid team, and their numbers might be inflated. They beat Army. They scored 101 on Army, and then in the tournament they put 105 up on Bucknell. But they put up a lot of points. They're gonna run up and down on you, and they're gonna pressure you. They've got Jordan Burns averages 17, 4, and 6, and 1.5 steals. And they've got 3 other guys scoring more than 11 points a game. So this is a fun 14 seed. I think they're going against an Arkansas team that could be beatable. So this is a 14 seed that I think is going to shock people because they don't know who they are. But when you score 87 points a game, you can obviously score the basket. It doesn't matter if you're playing Army or Bucknell or Boston or whoever. You're putting up a lot of points. So this team knows how to score. knows how to create turnovers, get easy buckets. So that should be a fun 14-3 matchup, and hopefully not just a blowout like most are. So that'll lead to your 14.
Which is, oh, dang it. I accidentally had oh, no, never mind. It's Abilene Christian. Yeah. ACU, man, they haven't been, I don't think they've even been in Division I all that long. But the Abilene Christian Wildcats come in as the 14 seed, won the Southland Conference, or excuse me, finished second in the Southland Conference. They went 23-4 this year.
Wow.
You know,
how did win the tournament get in, though?
I don't know. I don't even know if they won their conference tournament. Oh, yeah, they did. They're led by a center, a 7-footer, a legit 7-footer, Colton Cole, senior out of San Angelo. He averages 12.5, only averages 4.8 rebounds per game. So, yeah, don't know what that's about. You know, two other guys that average double figures. A 6'8" forward and a 6-foot guard. Again, they won 23 games, so they're a solid program. They probably would have made the dance last year had they have had a tournament. They are the 5th best team when it comes to assists, averaging over 18 assists per game. And then defensively, they are 3rd in the nation in steals with right at 10 steals per game. So they're scrappy. You know, that's the definition of scrappy right there. Is a team that's going for steals. So that's ACU.
That'll lead me to the Morehead State Eagles, another 23-win team. Not a lot of outside conference games. Now, they did play Kentucky first game of the season and got absolutely waxed by 31. And that's pretty much your only team you're going to face that is tournament worthy. They got second in the regular season in their conference. OVC, I'm not sure. What conference is OVC?
Ohio Valley.
Ohio Valley Conference, yep. So they got second to Belmont. However, they won the conference championship and the conference tournament. And they don't do anything spectacular. They average 69 points a game. They give up 63 points per game. They are led by a 6'10" freshman forward who averages 14 and 9. So I'm not sure how Morehead State gets a 6'10" freshman forward to average 14 and 9, but John Broom is their leading scorer, leading rebounder, and leading shot blocker. They rebound decently well. They don't handle the ball particularly well. They have a negative assist turnover ratio. And they won 23 games in their conference tournament. So that's Morehead State. I wouldn't be looking for them to cause an upset as a 14 seed.
Did Kenneth Fareed go to Morehead?
Kenneth Fareed, the Manimal, did go to Morehead State.
I thought so.
Correct.
I thought so. All right. 15 seeds now, right?
Yep. Moving right along.
I love this comment. Good show. Y'all have given me March Madness information overload, and I can't wait until episode 10. Tomorrow.
The pickup's going to be great.
Tomorrow's going to be easy, man. We've done all – this is all the hard work. 15 seed.
If you stuck around, you're in good shape.
You did. You are going to know everything. Grand Canyon University is the 15 seed for the West region. We haven't even updated the whiteboard yet, but who cares? Grand Canyon University, though, 17-6 on the year, won the WAC. All right, 9-3 in the WAC, won it outright. Their best player is Asbjorn Midgard. All right, basically a Viking. 14 points per game, 10 rebounds, 1.5 blocks per game. Alessandro Lever, a 6'10" forward out of Italy, 13 points per game, 5.5 boards, almost 2 assists per game. And then Jovan Blackshear, just shy of 6 feet tall as a guard, 12 points per game, 3.5 boards. almost 5.5 assists per game. As a team, they shoot 49% from the floor, which is good for 16th. They average 40 rebounds a game, which is 15th. They average 16 assists per game, 25th. And one of the only just terrible statistics is that they shoot 68.6 from the free throw line.
Not great.
So that's them.
All right. Well, we'll go to my former school, Oral Roberts University, the Golden Eagles. They had to win to get in, and they won the Summit League to get into the tournament. A pretty good Summit League. South Dakota State was the 1 seed, upset them. Had a big lead on North Dakota State. Almost lost that game, but still won. They were led by the nation's leading scorer, Max Abmas, sophomore.
What was it?
Max Abmas, A-B-M-A-S.
Oh.
Sophomore from
I
Rockwall,
thought you said
Texas.
anus. Sorry.
That would have been funny, especially when Oral Roberts.
Yeah, that was the real reason.
Yeah, yep. They average 82 points per game, which is good for 16th in NCAA, but they also give up 76 points per game. Amos is only a sophomore. They've played some pretty good teams this season and hung tight with most of them. A 5-point loss to Wichita State, 5-point loss to Oklahoma State, 14-point loss to OU, and a 9-point loss to Arkansas. So they've played tournament teams. They haven't beat any of them, but they know what it takes to at least measure up slightly with them. Backs against the wall, they win their tournament. And when you have the nation's leading scorer, anything can happen. They also have a big man who averages 18 and 10. So he's not the only guy who can put the ball in the basket. Amos isn't. So if they can just keep running up the score, I think they're probably better than what their record says. I don't think that they can beat Ohio State, but it could be fun to watch Max Amos just try to take every shot possible and try to put up 50, because why not?
That's what we're here for. We're not if your team's, if you're a lower seed, you might as well hoist that thing. This is it.
Become a legend.
This is all you're getting.
Yep.
All right. We're still on 15s, huh? Yeah.
15s. Yep.
Yeah. 2 more to go. Iona, the Gales, coached by none other, and this is worth noting, Rick Pitino.
Wow.
So Rick Pitino is back in the dance, ladies and gentlemen, and he's got a pretty okay team. They won the conference tournament to get here. They just average height wise, a lot of guys 6'8", 6'9". Their leading scorer is a 6'4" guard, Isaiah Ross, averages 18 and a half, 3.5 boards and 1.5 assists. Asante Gist, something like that. Another senior, very senior-led team, just under 6 feet tall, 13 points, 3.5 assists per game. And then their other player averaging double figures is a freshman named Nelly Junior Joseph from the NBA Academy Africa. He's 6'9", forward, averaging 11 points, 7.5 boards, 1.5 assists per game. Iona, like I said, coached by Rick Pitino of Kentucky and Louisville, and just guy wins championships.
And
Nothing about this team stands out. Yeah, that's pretty much.
I think they had to win their tournament to get in, didn't they?
They did. That's they slow the game down, man. If you remember that Louisville team that won the national championship. Fun fact, that was the last team to be the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament to win it all.
Wow.
If you'll remember
Not
that team,
Gonzaga.
No, not at all. And they took the air out of the ball. This is the 15 seed, so they don't play Gonzaga. They play.
Well, I'm just saying because they're the number 1 seed. And
no, right, absolutely. They take the air out of the ball, limit possessions. Their opponents scored the 8th fewest baskets of teams. So they just don't. I mean, they held opponents to under 40% shooting, so that's good in itself, but also the fact that they just don't let their opponents shoot a lot. That's
it's
good.
very much Rick Pitino's team. Fun
It
fact
is.
about Rick Pitino: his son just got fired from Minnesota as of a couple hours ago at the beginning of the show.
Hey-o.
So maybe we'll see two Patinos on the sideline for this game.
Wow, that would be interesting.
Not sure what the COVID rules are, but I think in other years that might have happened. That'll lead me to the Cleveland State Vikings, the first Vikings we have officially to make the tournament this year. Cleveland State, they are led by Torrey Patton, who averages 15 and 8 boards a game. A guard, a 6'4" guard, leading the team in rebounds and in points. Other than that, they have Trey Gamillion averaging 10.5 and 5 boards a game, and Demoy Hodge. So all their guards pretty much are going to be leading you in points. He averages 10.5 and 4 boards. Their 3 guards lead the team in rebounds. Probably not great. Their guards rebound, but they do not shoot the 3-point ball very well. Patton at 28%, Gamillion at 15%, and Demoy Hodge at 29%.
So they're not going to be looking for those guys to shoot game winners.
As a team, they shoot 32% from the 3-point line. So they are not in tune to today's game. They did go 19-7. They got second in the Horizon League and then won the tournament to make the dance. Not loving this team from a strictly statistical standpoint. So,
yeah, it's slim pickings here at the end, 15s and 16s, which brings us to the last seed for all of the regions. Once again, Josh, I have the winner for the West region. I have the winner of the Norfolk State versus Appalachian State game.
Boy.
So the winner of that gets to play against Gonzaga in the first round.
What a treat. What a reward for
I'll be honest, I know nothing about Norfolk State or Appalachian State. They're both small conferences. They're both not good. So yeah, they're going to get spanked. Whoever it is, they're just fighting to
not sure we're going to see a UMCB type upset from either of those teams.
No.
But that'll bring me to the Hartford Hawks, a team that got 4th in their regular season conference. UMBC actually won the regular season conference, speaking of good transition. But they did not win the tournament as they were upset, not by Hartford Hawks, but the Hartford Hawks won their tournament, and they are now in the tournament. They played a UConn team earlier this year and hung in, only lost by 12 before they got waxed by Villanova. And then after that, they didn't really play any teams of note. They did go 15-8 on the season, led by Austin Williams. They're kind of do-it-all guard, averaging 14 a game, 6 boards, and only 1.5 assists. Again, this team, like Cleveland State, not going to make a lot of threes, only shooting 32% from the 3-point line. They do have 5 guys averaging nearly 10 points a game, so they're pretty deep when it comes to scoring, but it's got to be all at the basket. They do shoot 71% from the free throw line, so if they can get to the basket, draw some fouls, maybe slow the game down a little bit, they may have a chance. They average 7 steals per game, but they only average 66 points per game, so they're going to really have to pick the air out of the ball to have a chance, and they unfortunately get to draw a Baylor team that's pretty guard-oriented. So don't look for a 16-1 upset from the Hartford Hawks.
No, not at all. Which, speaking of teams that aren't going to upset, again, I've got the winner of Mount St. Mary's versus Texas Southern taking on Michigan. So, Mount St. Mary's and Texas Southern. I saw Texas Southern play earlier this year. I've seen Texas Southern play a couple times, actually.
Yeah.
They're big. They've got, for a small school, they've got a couple of guys, though, who can shoot. So, I mean, again, it's a 16 seed. They're going to get smacked by Michigan. But I think I would take, in the matchup game, I would pick Texas Southern to beat Mount St. Mary's.
Yep, I agree. That leads us to our last team. of the night. Thanks for
this is
everybody
it.
for sticking in with us. Right
God
around
bless
the
you.
3-hour mark. I think we said last episode that this would probably be a 3-hour show.
We did. So
And we were right on line, so we weren't lying to you. That's going to be your Drexel Dragons. My favorite mascot name. Just doesn't feel like a really big mascot name. Drexel Dragons, they went 12-7 this year in the CAA. I'm not sure. You're going to have to help me out with that one as well.
Continental. I think it's the
Continental.
the Colonial.
Yeah, that's right.
Colonial Athletic Association.
They went 12-7 and finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in their conference. But they won their conference tournament, and now they're here in the NCAA tournament. They're led by Cameron Winter, averaging 17 a game, 3 boards and 5 assists. He shoots the ball pretty well from 3 at a 43% clip, 47% from the field and 83% from the free throw line. And then they have James Butler, a forward averaging 13 and 9. However, he's only 6'8", and he looks to be their biggest guy, having to go up against Coffee Coburn. I do not envy that. They also have another forward, TJ Bickenstaff, who's 6'9", but is rail thin. Again, not a good mix when you have to go against someone like Coffee Coburn, but he's averaging 10 points, 5 boards on 53.5% shooting.
But you see him getting smacked by Illinois, right?
Yeah, Drexel only played 19 games. They lost 7 of them. So I don't think they're going to put up much of a fight against the Fighting Illini. So,
all right. Well,
and there you have it.
There you have it. That is all 68 teams in the NCAA tournament, and it only took just under 3 hours to do it.
Yeah,
so,
and if you're watching this like tomorrow morning or on your daily commute, I would skip from maybe like the hour and 12-minute mark to maybe the hour and 20-minute mark to avoid any technical difficulties.
Yeah, I mean,
but to know that you'd have to skip to the 3-hour mark and hear me say this. So, good luck.
Yeah, man, I'm really hoping those people skip to the end, and then they're like, "Oh man, okay, so skip that
it's
part."
Typically, how I do things. So
yeah, that was a great show, though. Thank you all for participating. Sorry for the few people who called. I accidentally did not answer one of them, and then on the other phone call we got, we were in the middle of technical issues, so apologize for that. But we will see you all tomorrow when Josh and I and whoever, probably Chris, was very disappointed that he couldn't be on tonight because he was watching The Bachelor, and he's embarrassed to talk about The Bachelor. When I said we could do Bachelor brackets, he was like, "Well, I don't want anyone to know that I actually like it."
Yeah.
So, but we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, and it'll be not a 3-hour show, so tune in, get your picks.
It might be 30 minutes, honestly, because we can just go through it now. We did all the work.
It'll be a pretty quick show.
And we'll just say, hey, this is why we picked them. Watch the show last night. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. All right, well, we will leave you all with, we did run at the beginning, but we're gonna exit with the intro. We're gonna exit with the intro.
All right.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, man. I guess it's time to go.
Breaking news.
Breaking
news.
He looks like a Cuban that's been dead for 3 weeks.
Look in Baker's eyes. I think we were on the same level.
He looks like Matilda's daddy that sells cars.
Danny DeVito?
I think he danced in front of us for about an unnecessarily long time.
Based on a rundown.
Featuring Val. Yours truly. We're talking about
Other players. There was Maddox, Glavin, Smoltz, Avery.
Is John, hit us with it.
This is all pointless right now because you have no idea what anyone's going to do in free agency.
Jeff Blauser, Chipper Jones.
I was going to say, we're Chipper.
His English is not tremendous.
Oh, whoa, what the heck?
I remember when Doug Flutie had got benched for that like 6'5", like just athletic quarterback who is trash.
I'm sorry to say this. I don't think he's been that good.
Oh, whoa, what the heck?
Still, if Kevin Pritchard walked up to me, I wouldn't know.
You know, I don't think anybody is going to shy away from calling the NCAA corrupt and money grabbers.
This is Crime Dog right here. This is D Crime. This is Fred McGriff.
My whole thing
they
is
had a chance to do that with Dak.
I never said
Music on. Is that me?
No, it's a fucking train. I'll mute myself until it passes.
So everything I say right now can be changed in a month and a half.
Saying F the Chiefs.
Whoever wants to go back on